Good evening. It is 6:43 right now on Saturday, April the 10th, 2021. I am James Brierton in Charlotte, North Carolina. We are coming on the air here from the Carolina Weather Group with live storm coverage on the Carolina WeatherNet and all of our sister properties for tornado warning coverage for Spartanburg County, South Carolina. We're just waiting for a few more Facebook pages and YouTube channels to join us, and we'll go ahead and get this coverage started. This is going to be a warning until 7 o'clock on this Saturday evening. We'll be showing you it here on radar in just a moment, as well as I think we might have a few sky cams in the area, but this coming in to us here at the Carolina Weather Group just in the past few moments. It's going to go until 7 o'clock tonight. It is a tornado warning, as I just mentioned, for Spartanburg County, South Carolina, and this is for radar-indicated rotation. It's a number of thunderstorms out there right now. Just this one warning is the only one we have. Again, this is Spartanburg County in South Carolina. I'm James Brierton, located in Charlotte, North Carolina, and this is the Carolina Weather Group. And we're just, again, waiting one more moment here for a few more Facebook pages and YouTube channels to join us for this live coverage of this tornado-warned thunderstorm. This is the only warning we have right now in the Carolinas, but we are continuing to watch a number of them. And let's take you in right now on radar and show you what exactly it is that we are monitoring for. And we'll walk you through a little bit of what we can expect here over the course of the next few moments. So on the left side of your screen right now, you can see the red polygon. This is for the tornado warned cell. We're going to put this into two panels, same location on both the left side and the right side of your screens. Left side is rain. Right side is that rotation that we see in the atmosphere associated with winds going to and from the radar. And so right where I just circled there, right between Reedville and Roebuck, you can see there is an area where the red and the green come together. So that is the radar indicated rotation that the radar is picking up. Now, what's interesting about this is a couple of things. Number one, it is heading to the north and the east, which means we're going to be crossing Interstate 85 here in the next few minutes. So first of all, if you live inside this polygon, this is Spartanburg County, South Carolina. This is just past Reedville, so the north side of Reedville. This would include you, Roebuck, Spartanburg itself, Valley Falls, Boiling Springs. You want to right now get to your tornado safe place. That is going to be the lowest level of a sturdy structure. If you have a basement, beautiful. If you don't have a basement, you just want to go right now inside your home to the lowest ground floor if you don't have a subterranean floor, and you want to put as many walls between you and the outside world as possible. Stay away from windows. In my house, where I don't have a basement, I'm going under the stairs. It could be a coat closet. It could be an interior bathroom, depending on what your situation is like. If you know somebody right now that is driving Interstate 85 in this area or might be debatably in this area, give them a call. Give them a call. We hear that all the time, that sometimes the best way that people find out about these tornado warnings is from friends and family. I should also mention we have Interstate 26 right in this same area. So we're going to be keeping a very close eye on the potential here in the next few minutes that this is going to be crossing possibly two interstates. I also want to adjust for you so you can see a little bit better on the screen the radar image for you right there. This is located really close to the radar itself, so we're getting some really good ground truth to the radar, or at least low in the atmosphere. It's also located really close to the National Weather Service. Luckily, it will not be directly impacting them, which is good news because then they can continue on with their operations. Where I'm looking up right now at National Weather Service chat. If you are a frequent viewer of us or severe weather, you know that is our lifeline. That is our connection directly to the National Weather Service office. This one is in Greer itself. So this is a tornado warning. It's going to go until 7 o'clock for Spartanburg County here in South Carolina. And let me read the bulletin itself to you so we can get some additional details. This is for Central Spartanburg County. The National Weather Service continuing to track a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado located 5 miles west of Spartanburg or near Welford, moving north at 30 miles an hour. This is radar-indicated rotation. We don't have any ground truth to it right now, but you can see right there on that radar image on the right side of your screen, it is this spot right up on in here that is about to cross I think this is actually first going to cross Business Route 85, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think this is 85 Business. Is this 85 proper? And then we got 26 through here. Let me pull up a map on another screen, make sure I've got that straight. That does, in fact, seem to be the case. I'm so used to that detour that was there for so long. I was forgetting which road was which as we were coming on through that area. We do have some live imagery right now available to us from the DOT cameras that are in the area. And I want to go ahead and get those ready to pop up on your screen as well. So you should be seeing those here with us in just a moment. Our control room is getting ready to put those up on the screen, and you will be able to get, again, some eyes onto what's happening on the ground, because we don't have right now any indication from a human being or a camera of exactly whether or not this is on the ground, but we could see it there. The radar indicated rotation, and that's what the National Weather Service is using to go ahead and issue this tornado warning, and we can certainly see from where we're located here what they're seeing as well, too. We now have that imagery on the screen for you. This is Business Route 85. This is in the tornado warning. Again, if you know somebody that's traveling out in this area, give them a call. Taking a look right now at some of your questions and comments that are coming into us. Thanks so much for watching. Somebody's noting that they're scared. What should they be doing? You know, it is completely normal to be scared of dangerous weather. That is, you know, the thing that actually will help keep you safe. If you are inside the area right now on the left side of your screen that is in that tornado warning, Reedville, you're now in the clear. That this stretches from Duncan, Star X, Roebuck, areas north, Saxon, Spartanburg, South Shops, Valley Falls, Boiling Springs. The best thing to do is get to that most interior and lowest part of your home, and if you can quickly find them, something to put on your head like a bike helmet and some shoes would be great. If you don't know where those objects are, don't waste time looking for them, but it's always good when you're preparing for severe weather. Those are the type of things that even for the rest of the night, if you're not in this warning right now, or if you live maybe in like Mayo, you want to start thinking about where some of those objects are. So the area of rotation right now is potentially past Business Route 85, so we're going to switch cameras. We're going to go on right up to the interchange. Look at the way this camera is now bouncing at Interstate 85, mile marker 71 at that interchange for 26. Now, here in the Carolinas, it's not like tracking in the movie Twister. More than likely, you're not going to see that funnel cloud because it's just always so rain-wrapped and we have so many trees. That's why storm spotters are so ideal, and we don't necessarily do a ton of storm chasing here in the Carolinas. The terrain is just not built for it. But we're going to go ahead and presume that there is a tornado on the ground based on the radar until we're told otherwise. We'd rather take more precautions than we necessarily need. We're not going to wait until we see something. So if you're waiting for me to show you a picture of a tornado, more than likely it's not going to happen. But right now, the couplet is near Interstate 26 and Interstate 85 junction here in Spartanburg County. The National Weather Service confirming what we were just talking about. They have no damage reports and no reports of a funnel on the ground, but they can see in the atmosphere that that thunderstorm is trying to rotate. All thunderstorms try to rotate, but this one in particular, they can see on radar, is trying to rotate. Bottom right-hand corner of your screen and that flyover, you can see there's a car underneath the overpass. I don't mean to call these people out, but we need to get something straight, folks. The idea that you shelter from a tornado underneath an overpass is now no more than myth. You do not want to be underneath an overpass during a tornado. It does not help keep you safe, and in many instances can make the situation worse because, A, you now have something above you that is only being held up by poles, and B, it can create a wind tunnel in some of these situations. So short of this car having a mechanical problem, if they are stopping there because of the tornado warning, that is not something you want to do. You want to get off the highway and get into a sturdy structure. We're going to continue to watch here this tornado warning that goes until 7 o'clock or so. Many of you commenting right now that, of course, you're scared and worried, and that is a natural feeling to have. That is the human body trying to keep us safe. But the best thing you can do is not let that paralyze you and let you take that fear and just make sure you get to someplace safe. We do not have any damage reports. We do not have any indication that anything is on the ground. But we are going to open up our Zoom chat here. so that our Frank Strait can join us. He is on the ground right now in this tornado warning, and he's going to be able to get us a report there from what he's seeing on the ground. But again, what should you be doing if you live inside this tornado warning? You want to be getting inside many walls between you and the outside world as possible, as low in that structure as you can go. We have no confirmation that anything is on the ground right now, but this is the only warning in the Carolinas right now. Some of you are asking about other areas. This is the only game in town we are watching right now that has an active warning on it, but we are watching other thunderstorms. Joining us now, we'll start with audio as we work to get the picture up, is our own Frank Strait. He is inside this tornado-warned polygon right now in Spartanburg County, South Carolina, here in the upstate of South Carolina. Frank, what's going on?
James, right here, the skies are certainly stormy, a little light rain at this point. The rotation looks like it's going to pass some distance to my west, although over the last few minutes, it looks as though, judging by radar, that the rotation has become somewhat disorganized, maybe trying to reform. So my thought that it may stay west of me is a little bit in question right now, so I'm watching things very carefully. And kind of right on the very edge of this polygon. Watching the radar a little while ago, it appeared to me there might have briefly been some sort of sign of debris over toward the Westgate area in Spartanburg. So shortly, I'm going to take a drive over there and see if there's anything interesting to see and see if there was any damage. But I'm going to wait to ensure my own safety and my son's as well. He lives in a trailer, and I'm at his place right now, so I do not have a safe spot.
We were just talking, Frank, just as we were opening up your line, we were just telling folks who are commenting right now, trying to figure out where they should go. You know, those trailers, those manufactured homes are tricky. That's a tricky situation.
Absolutely. You don't want to be in a trailer during a tornado warning. When a tornado is bearing down on you, you want to abandon that and find safe shelter. One thing I do want to mention about this particular tornado warning, about this potential tornado, is that it is going to be rain wrapped. You will not see it coming at you. If it's coming at me, I won't see it coming at me. So you want to head to shelter and not rely on your own eyes and whether or not you can see it coming at you. You want to go in shelter now, and I think that's critical for the people around the Valley Falls area, for the area just east of the I-85, I-26 interchange, and going over to around exit 78 or 80, heading east from there. That's the area that's in the most danger right now, I think. In addition to that, there's going to be the potential for some damaging straight line winds at least as well. That probably right in the Spartanburg area now and heading northeastward, kind of in my general direction. So I might get an interesting show here shortly. But anyway, again, those folks, especially in the northern and northeastern part of the warned area right now, I think you'll want to be in shelter right now. And going north from there, if this warning needs to be extended.
And actually, Frank, on that note, the National Weather Service has just confirmed to us they have one damage report in. We'll get details on that in just a moment, and they are about to reissue this. So if you live downstream, further to the northeast of where you're seeing that polygon on the screen right now, we're about to get a whole new extended warning from the Weather Service. So we'll have some new locations that are going to need to start thinking about moving to their shelter area.
James, to
Go ahead, Scotty Powell.
Right here, I was just reviewing the correlation coefficient. There was a drop there for a few minutes. Not sure if you covered that. If not, I can.
No, go ahead. Why don't you go ahead and walk us through that, Scotty?
Yeah, I will go ahead and pop up the screen here. So give me one moment. I'm doing two jobs at once today. So let me re-rack here. And what we're going to be looking for is a blue little dot. And this blue little dot occurred right here. You can see the border of this polygon. Right here was the blue dot just outside of Roebuck, which I believe is probably where that damage report is going to come from, just outside of highway. I can't remember that highway that runs through Roebuck, 221. So quickly right here was a CC drop. The next radar scan, it was gone. So that's the nature of these storms today. Quick spin ups that can cause some damage. And that may have been the damage that's being reported to the Weather Service, may have been associated with that CC drop there, James.
Scotty Powell joining us from the foothills of North Carolina with an additional perspective. We've got Frank Strait on the ground in the area as well. I'm James Brierton from our headquarters here in Charlotte. We are coming up on 7 o'clock. We are watching a tornado-warned cell in Spartanburg County, South Carolina, the upstate. We have live DOT cameras from the area as well. We're in a pretty good spot in terms of observation with radar and Frank and DOT. We do now have a brand new polygon. This is about to be extended, and it's going to bring our way right on up to the North Carolina border. You'll see it update on our imagery here in just a moment. I'm going to go single panel so you can actually see it a little bit better on our broadcast. But this has now been reissued by the National Weather Service until 7:30 tonight. And let's go ahead now and let you know that this also includes Rutherford County, North Carolina, as the National Weather Service is continuing to track a thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. It is going to be moving now north and was located 9 miles north of Spartanburg, or near Boiling Springs, at 45 miles an hour. The threat here, of course, in addition to the tornado itself, is some flying debris and wind. This will be near, Frank, help me out. Is this Chesney? Is that how you say that?
Yes, Chesney.
Chesney.
Mayo and Chesney, you're going to be in that new, well, Mayo isn't, Chesney is. Yes, my original impression is correct. Looking at this new warning, it's a very narrow polygon there, right over Boiling Springs. If you're in Boiling Springs, you need to be in shelter right now because the most dangerous part of the storm is moving over you, over toward Chesney, and especially just west of there. That's the next area of concern. And in Rutherford County, the area just south of Forest City, the far southern part of Rutherford County, that's the area where the storm will track next. So there you have a little bit of time to get to shelter. And again, do not rely on seeing a tornado coming at you. Any tornado will be rain wrapped, and you won't see it coming at you. You need to get into shelter and not concern yourself with what you might see first. Get into shelter and wait for an all clear.
Absolutely. Frank of the voice of Frank Strait there. Joining us from the upstate area inside this tornado warning. I'm waiting for, and I'm not sure why it hasn't updated yet, so let me just go ahead and let you know, folks, that this extended tornado warning now until 7:30, as we mentioned, is going to be in Chesney until about 7:10. It's going to be right on up in here. It's also going to include Forest City with an ETA of about 7:20. We're going to be making our way into Rutherford County, North Carolina. We are just going to miss Cleveland County, North Carolina. And so we have two counties that will be in this tornado warning. Spartanburg County, this is the northern part of Spartanburg County, South Carolina, and the southern part of Rutherford County until 7:30. Still waiting on the details as well from the Weather Service.
James,
go ahead, Scotty.
I can't say weather radios just went off. Mine went off here at the house. This is going to be moving into a more populated area there in Rutherford County, as well as northern Spartanburg. Looking at the radar, the rotation may not be as prevalent as it was earlier, but I can read this new text if you've not got it yet.
I've got the new text, and I just got the new, and this is going to fall just short of Rutherfordton and Forest City, and this was exactly what Frank was just outlining. Let's just go ahead and presume that this is just going to keep going. And so, if you're in those areas, Forest City, Ellenboro, think right now, where am I going to go? What am I going to wear? Shoes, pants, helmet, because you're going to go into shelter. Best case scenario, nothing happens. Worst case scenario, if you got to come back out into that shelter and you encounter debris, you want to already be wearing those shoes and that helmet and those other safety precautions. Now, I want to remind you here, this is the only warning we have right now in the Carolinas. If we go ahead and zoom this back out, this is the only tornado warning. You can see we have lots of showers, thunderstorm activity that is now moving into western North Carolina, upstate South Carolina, even impacting the Masters earlier, just across in Georgia there. But this is the only warning, and this is the only tornado warning we have right now that is heading out of Spartanburg County, South Carolina, and eventually going to be crossing into North Carolina. Still waiting on the details from the Weather Service. Are you guys, when you're looking at velocity, having any luck figuring out exactly where this thing might be right now?
Yeah, it looks pretty messy to me. Not seeing it as much, but it could be cycling as well. These are going to be quick spin ups today, and I think Frank mentioned just a little bit earlier, they're going to be wrapped in rain. So just looking here on the velocity on my side, if you see anything, it might be a little bit outside of the polygon near Chesney, just to the north of Chesney. heading towards Cliffside, Bullitt Springs, and Cleveland.
You think it's all the way up here?
Let me look at your radar screen. Yeah, that stands out to me where the rotation might be, and it could be cycling in this storm. And so when it cycles, loses old rotation, and new rotation develops somewhere outside of that. So we'll have to monitor that. May just be a bad radar feed scan as well there, James.
Either way, folks, as we're commentating on where this could or could not be, we want to remind you not to mess around if you're inside this red polygon warning. Take action regardless of where it could be, and that's why the Weather Service it fans out a little bit, kind of similar to what you might think of when we're tracking hurricanes, right? That forecast cone on a hurricane, when it gets days out, gets wider and wider, because even here on the short term, when we're talking minutes over location, the tornado could wobble, could move, could cycle, and so we want to just everybody inside that warning to go ahead and seek shelter. Frank, while we're waiting for further information to come on in, I want to talk a little bit more about manufactured homes. What is the best thing that you can do in that situation?
Well, in that situation, you want to find a good, sturdy shelter. You don't want to be in anything manufactured, the mobile home or the like. A tornado can just really demolish those very easily, and you're in a very dangerous situation there. As you can see from what I'm showing on my camera here, I'm far east of the polygon at this point, but you can see. I have the camera pointed up at the clouds, and you can see rapid and somewhat chaotic motion in the clouds up there. And there's a good bit of wind not far above the ground. So I would have to say that in addition to the tornado risk, there's also the risk for some straight line wind damage away from this main threat area. It probably would not take much. The wind is actually picking up a little bit in my location now, which I'm just a little south of I-85 and maybe 3 miles northeast of Spartanburg, sort of between Spartanburg and Cowpens is where I am right now. And the clouds look quite fascinating, as you should be able to see from just what I'm showing on my iPhone here. So this is certainly not a storm you want to trifle with, even if you're not exactly in the polygon. Best to be indoors, if nothing else, and not out on the roads. Delay travel until this line of storms goes by. Even if you are not in the warned area, it's best that you avoid travel and stay indoors for the time being.
Absolutely, Frank. And you mentioned that rotation you're seeing there. Now, a lot of thunderstorms, a lot of strong thunderstorms, folks, will rotate, but it's a question of how concentrated and how strong is that rotation when it just goes from being regular cycling of a thunderstorm to rotation. And what Frank's looking at is what so many of us have been looking at across the Carolinas today with mini supercells, even ones moving across the Charlotte area here, where you have a wall cloud. It's rotating. We just did storm spotter training. Many of you at home joined the Carolina Weather Group and the National Weather Service for virtual storm spotter training. And you might remember during that class, they were quizzing us, right? Is this a wall cloud? Is it rotating? Is it touching the ground? It's when that funnel is touching the ground that it's a tornado. And so we're all keeping our eyes on the sky, going through that checklist. And that's exactly what Frank's doing right now. Right now, Frank's got some of that rotation. He's maybe got a little bit of that lowering, and we're getting that with so many of our thunderstorms. But it's just what comes after that is always the big question. Folks in the chat right now are concerned, are anxious, are fear-mongering that we're all going to die. You're not going to die if you take precautions. We are looking right now at a tornado warning that we need to take seriously, but this is not a well-fueled outbreak day. We're looking at smaller scale, quick little spin-ups that if you happen to be in the micro-scale area where this impacts, this is going to ruin your weekend. But remember, we can take precautions and take safety measures to keep ourselves and our property safe, and it's just about getting to the lowest level of your home with as many walls between you and the outside world as possible. And as we were just talking about with Frank, there are, we always say, go to a sturdy structure. You don't want to try to outrun a tornado. You're not going to be able to do that. It doesn't have to stop for traffic lights. If you're not yet in a tornado warning and you're in a tornado watch, or you're in a situation where you maybe are downstream from a tornado warning, and there's another place that you go to that is outside of your manufactured home or the place that you're currently at, then you could think about heading to that location. But if once you're inside the active tornado warning, you don't want to be chasing or fleeing it. You just want to be in the best situation you can be. As many walls between you and the outside world as possible, as low to the ground, or if not below the ground if you can. Put that helmet on. Find a bike helmet. Find a pillow to hold over your head. Anything for a little extra protection. We do have... go ahead, Scotty. I think you're going to relay.
Yeah, I was going to say we've got a damage report from the Moore area right on the path of that couplet, that little CC drop that we were talking about just a little bit ago. So that is where that damage report's coming from. So we've got some verified damage. Earlier, let's see, I would say about an hour and a half ago, we had a damage report coming out of Oconee County, South Carolina.
We did.
To kind of line up with this line of storms. So reading the damage there, I wouldn't be surprised if they send the National Weather Service sends out a survey team to that Oconee County report. And now it looks like another survey may be done here with this report near Roebuck. And
talk about that report.
Carolina.
That report caught our attention. We retweeted it before because it was not verbiage you normally see every day. I'm going to go ahead and put it on the screen.
It was emergency management reported a flipped car and structural damage to a CVS on Blue Ridge Boulevard. And CVS, I would assume that it's a CVS pharmacy. So the pretty well built building and a car being flipped over. You just don't see that with a 60-mile-per-hour wind gust in a thunderstorm. So
yeah, that was weird.
That could be maybe one of those quick spin-ups, that just occur in a radar scan or two, and then is gone. So I'd be interested to see if they do follow up with a damage survey, which I'm assuming they may do that with the damage to structure.
Yeah.
That probably will be done sometime tomorrow.
And just to clarify for everyone, that was in a storm earlier at about 5:55. We're now watching this tornado warning that goes for northern Spartanburg County and into portions of Rutherford County, North Carolina until 7:30. We do have a expected National Weather Service damage report coming in momentarily from the Moore, South Carolina area associated with this warning within the last half an hour or so. We don't have the details on that just yet, but the Weather Service is tracking storms. They're putting out the warnings. That is first priority. Second priority is documenting the damage left behind it so that they can know what the history of these cells are, and then as Scotty was just mentioning, then they'll go out the next day and actually put human eyeballs as storm investigators on some of this damage if that's what needs to be done. But right now, this thing is, it's funny. We're so close to the radar site, Scotty, but I think because of the terrain and the storm structure, we're having a hard time on the right side of the screen and the velocity really pinpointing where this rotation is.
Excuse me, the pollen's killing me, so I'm thankful for the rain today. But this storm's also moving pretty fast too. I was just looking at some of the storm tracks here on radar scope, and they're moving to the northeast around 30 to 40 miles per hour. So if we do see this warning continued, we may see a new issuance here soon because it is now into Rutherford County. So if you're in Forest City, over towards Rutherfordton, there's the Cliffside area. You definitely want to be in your safe place. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. You want to be in that most centralized location. If you don't have a basement, that's where you need to be. If you do have a basement, that's where to go. But if you don't, most centralized location, as many walls between you and the outside. You want to have a helmet to protect your head because most tornado injuries or fatalities come from trauma to your head from flying debris. So you want to make sure you have that, some kind of sturdy shoes, like good tennis shoes, boots, something like that. So if there was any damage and you had to walk outside, you wouldn't receive any injuries from that. I also suggest some goggles or glasses or something like that to keep any flying debris out of your eyes. And so if you live in Forest City, Alexander Mills, Caroline, Cliffside, Ellenboro, Bostic, Rutherfordton, you want to be in that safe place as this rotation, this tornado warned storm is quickly moving into Rutherford County.
Yeah, I was going to say, theoretically, it's somewhere right in here. And my bad drawing.
It's hard to pick out. It's embedded. This is what we call embedded tornadoes. If you've ever heard the word embedded and you're not really sure what that means, this is a perfect example of that. It's embedded. It's not like these supercells tornadoes that we see out in the plains and things like that. And I know we saw a few mini supercells today that actually produced some wall clouds over the Mecklenburg and Iredell County areas. So, but this is more embedded with that line, so it's going to be really messy. It's going to be hard to detect.
I want to go ahead and also put Frank's picture on the screen for us here. And Frank, you're still in Spartanburg County, and Frank's just showing us the rest of the Carolinas. We only have this one tornado warning right now, but there are areas that are seeing this heavy rain, making travel kind of difficult. Just look at the rain bouncing off the roof there, Frank.
Yes, indeed. The wind is really blowing the rain around, and the rain's heavy. So that's limiting your visibility, and some spray from the wind as well. I guess I've seen wind gusts maybe peaking at 35 to 40 miles an hour here, perhaps maybe even 45, but probably closer to 35 to 40 where I am. And that's probably in general what you're seeing outside of the tornado risk area. Maybe not quite to severe thunderstorm level, but not far below that. And again, just a nasty setup to be outdoors. Again, even if you're not in the warned area and have to take a sturdy shelter, you don't want to be outdoors in this. So definitely delay travel as these storms move through, move indoors as they approach if they haven't hit you yet, because it is a nasty storm, even outside of the tornado risk area, which I see that's been canceled now for Spartanburg County and is up in Rutherford County only for now. But those of you south of Forest City, respect the polygon, as they say in Alabama, and move into a sturdy shelter now.
Yeah, that's right. So right now, Spartanburg County, South Carolina, you're clear. This is just going to be Rutherford County, just short of Forest City. Forest City, you might as well just go ahead and start thinking about where you're going to go because of the speed that this thing is potentially moving. We'll find out from the Weather Service whether or not they extend this. Frank talked about travel. Highway 74 is right on the edge of this polygon still. So if you know somebody that you're expecting to be driving along Highway 74, give them a ring, let them know, because we know how hard it is sometimes to get these warnings while you're out driving.
James,
go ahead.
I'll say this. I know Frank's from the area. I go down to that area a lot as well. And Highway 74 is kind of that business corridor where all the restaurants, all the shops, kind of the main attraction to each town is along that area. So it's a very populated area. So definitely, if you know anyone who may be out to eat or shopping, and then maybe they're just not aware of the weather situation, you might want to give them a call or a text because this is going to be moving into that more business-like district of Rutherford County.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess right. It's still somewhere up in here. Now, we are also watching this guy. You guys see this little short here back south of Chesney? I don't know if that's anything or not. We'll give it a couple more scans. It's almost like on the back end of the storm.
Yeah, it looks like another broad rotation that's kind of developed there. We'll have to keep an eye on that area too, but it doesn't look like an immediate threat right now.
Yeah. It is 7:16. I'm James Brierton in Charlotte, North Carolina. That was the voice of Frank Strait in Spartanburg County, South Carolina, in his car. We've got Scotty Powell in Morganton, North Carolina, in the western foothills. We are watching a tornado-warned cell here on this Saturday, April the 10th, 2021, until 7:30. You can see that scrolling at the bottom of your screen. Live coverage from us here at the Carolina Weather Group, streaming on the all-new Carolina Weather Net. Thank you so much for those of you who are joining us on Facebook and on YouTube. We do appreciate you tuning in and monitoring this situation with us. And just to widen back out again, on the left side of your screen, we have it's a little hard to tell sometimes. So let me just go back to single panel. Sometimes we're doing a two-panel view. This is a singular panel view right now. And as I zoom all the way out, you can kind of see a little bit of what's happening in the Carolinas. We just have that one polygon in red. That's tornado warning there for that section of Rutherford County, North Carolina. We don't have any other warnings right now, but there are other areas that we are watching. And you can see that this line of storms extends all the way down Interstate 26, making our way back towards the Columbia Metro, a little shy of Aiken, back towards that broader Augusta kind of metro area. And so we're watching this line for the potential of a little spin up here or there. And Frank Straight's going to pop off the line here for a moment and concentrate on driving. Good safety call, Frank. Appreciate that note to see exactly what may be to find still out there as a lot of this activity now moves a little bit further to his north. So you can see a new lightning strike now reported. Again, lightning itself is not an ingredient that the Weather Service will use, or not a prereq that the Weather Service will use in order to issue a warning. Still very dangerous and still an indication to us of a strong storm. Strong storms produce lightning. They don't qualify for warnings by themselves, but a tornado warning is either we see a tornado or the thunderstorm is rotating to the point where we think it could produce a tornado or a funnel. And then a severe thunderstorm warning, if we were to get one of those at any point tonight, that is for damaging winds over 60 miles an hour or 1-inch size hail, which is the size of a quarter, which for once in my life I actually have in my pocket because we went shopping at Aldi today. All right, we are watching this tornado warned storm. It is a little hard to see. We're going back to 2-panel, almost a little bit clearer here, Scotty Powell. If we look at these velocities on the right side of our screen, it's probably right up in there, north of the state line, still south of Forest City by 5 miles.
Yeah, just looking at the Weather Service, they're commenting the same thing. Little squigglies in there, but not much of a clear couplet. So those squigglies are just kind of those little notches that we watch where it shows some rotation. But James, where you've highlighted looks to be the area of interest of where we are watching. So we will continue to watch that. And again, that's along that's Highway 221, I believe. Yes, 221. So that would be moving into kind of a bypass area where a lot of your main businesses are. So more rural farmland type area. But again, you need to be in that safe place. James, I will say, just if we continue to watch this polygon track, the next part of the area would be my area. So I'm watching that with interest to see kind of what happens with this line. But this is going to be
you got 35 miles.
Us. Yeah. It's going to be with us for a little while as this band of rain moves in, and I'm actually looking outside right now.
Because you're right. You're looking at this whole band, aren't you? Not just that one little.
Yeah. The whole band is rotated, and I'm looking out my window right now, and the low level clouds, what we call the low level. Or the low-level jets, not to get too weather technical, but the clouds are really moving fast. They're really screaming, and that just shows us that there's a lot of instability, a lot of ingredients close to the surface. If we could get these updrafts to really sustain themselves, that could produce these brief tornadoes.
Well, it's like we were looking at before with Frank. We're looking at those clouds moving fast. We had it here in Charlotte earlier. We do have a marginal risk, right? So we have a tier 1 out of 5 here in dark green on your screen for all of the Carolinas. This is the easiest I've ever had to communicate. I don't have to try to verbally draw lines. Marginal risk, tier 1 out of 5 for all of the Carolinas, according to that Storm Prediction Center outlook from that office of the National Weather Service. What does that mean? Well, here is the tornado parameter. That's, what is that, 2-3%, that first tier? The actual, yeah. We have a 5% tier of damaging winds. Again, we just talked about what the definition of damaging winds is. That's 60 miles per hour or greater. Not really a documented threat of hail, but, I wouldn't rule it out completely. But we had some erroneous reports of hail earlier today, which is kind of always irritating. We appreciate everyone's reports, but sometimes it's always good to, don't believe everything you read.
That's right. Sometimes they're not verified, and that one was not a verified report. Right. Neither one of them, I believe. There were several out there. So
yeah, and that's what the Weather Service will do, right? We were talking about this before. They're going to first issue warnings, then they're going to issue those storm damage reports. Those are things that are verified, that people have called into them, that police officers have seen, that emergency management have seen, or that you at home have reported to them either through the Storm Spotter hotline, if that is a program that you are vetted to participate in, or through social media, but they won't issue it as a damage report until they feel confident that it is a true thing. So if you're ever looking to try to validate whether or not something you're reading on social actually happened, you can always check those storm reports. Speaking of storm reports, we do have a new storm report in right now from the National Weather Service. Scotty, why don't you read it, and I'll put it up on the screen.
Yep. So this was talking about the report earlier. This is going to be near Reedville in Spartanburg County. 3 hardwood trees down on a residence on Brookhaven Drive, and they're labeling this as a possible tornado, and that would be that area that we were kind of highlighting just a little bit.
Is this that Moore area that you were thinking?
Yes, I believe
Okay.
This is that. I know there some of these rural places. They have names, but sometimes when they pop up in these reports, it'll say a bigger city or a bigger town. So this would be near that Moore area in Spartanburg County. So that's
well, this would align, right? Because here's that damage report. This is about the time they issued that tornado warning, because then you can see just upstream of that, northeast of that, was Interstate 85 business, 26 actual Interstate 85, right? That is exactly when we came on the air to start tracking this warning.
Yes, that definitely is so. And so we will continue to watch this line now as it's moving through Rutherford County. I'm looking at the velocities there, and there's still some squigglies in there, but there's no.
That's the scientific word for it, right?
Couplet.
Squigglies.
Yeah, squigglies. We like that, don't we? There's no defined couplet there. So,
no, but we still have some pretty good winds right on up in here,
yes.
and folks, it's this green and this red. Where they meet, that's where we're concerned about the rotation. And then it's this boundary layer that Scotty was talking about before, where even if you're not in a tornado-warned area, wind is wind. So Scotty's watching this whole line, this kind of this area where that kind of outflow, that wind is going to be. I shouldn't call it an outflow because I'm inside the actual storm, but I'm just talking about that boundary layer of wind. And, we're watching right now this. But we're also watching a bunch of tiny little areas like this that are all associated with this line, because this is not Oklahoma. This is not, we're going to track a tornado that's huge on the ground with great visibility for 50,000 miles. This is a setup today with these thunderstorms where these things can just kind of cycle up quickly. And so that's what we're going to be watching for. And again, there's also, we don't typically talk about it because it's not constituted as severe weather. Severe weather is wind, it's tornadoes, it's hail, but there's lightning out there. So if you can hear thunder, you're close enough to be struck by lightning, and no one wants to be struck by lightning either. That is obviously a threat to you, but also to property. So, there is obviously that associated with today's storms as well, too.
And James,
keep in mind. Go ahead, Scotty.
One other thing we don't really classify as severe weather, but there's been heavier pockets of rainfall fall over this area already today, and this is extremely, the reds on there, it doesn't take a lot in the weather community to know on reflectivity, when you see these deep reds, these purples, that's some pretty heavy precipitation. Mm-hmm. So a lot of heavy rain also falling in this area as well. So that's something to watch. I just put out a message to my followers who live here in the foothills. We need to keep an eye on this as this line continues to move off to the northeast. So if you live in McDowell, Burke, Caldwell, Catawba counties, keep your eye on this storm as we could see it cycle back up and see some more rotation. So it's something to watch here, just to keep our eyes on, to keep on guard. It's a Saturday evening. A lot of people probably trying to tune out from the work week and eating or whatever you may be doing at this time. Just be weather aware as this line quickly moves towards the Interstate 40 corridor.
Update now from the Weather Service. No, I heard the sound and I jumped. What I want to do right now, Scotty, is I want to just show people as we're waiting for an update on this tornado warned cell, which, by the way, it goes until 7:30. It is just now, if it is truly this, but maybe also that, it is going to come right up on the end of that boundary here just in time. Whoever the National Weather Service timed this out hit the nail right on the head, because now at 7:30 it's going to be coming up on the end of the polygon, and they'll need to decide whether or not they were renewing this or what they're doing. So let's just say right now, Rutherfordton, Forest City, Bostic, Ellenboro, just get to your safe place. It doesn't hurt to be in your safe place. You'd rather be safe than sorry. I want to go ahead and just scroll on down, Scotty, kind of the rest of this line. And we're looking right now from the perspective of Greenville-Spartanburg radar, because we keep talking about those squigglies, right? So, you can see them on the left side of your screen where the rain and the storm, they're not in a straight line. They're trying to do something. But luckily, we're not seeing too much of that in the actual wind profile on the right side of your screen with the velocities. But we're watching for the potential of things like, out here towards Saluda. Yeah, that's a little red and a little green. Maybe there's a little something going on there. And by the time we get that far south, we have the benefit here in radar scope to switch radar sites. Now looking at it from the perspective of Columbia, yeah, you can see where we have a non-straight line. We have some mixing of those winds to and away from the radar. And so we'll watch. We'll watch to see what the Weather Service decides to do with parts of this line. But again, it's just a night to be weather aware. It's going to be going on through much of the Carolinas a little bit later on in the day than was originally forecast, right? It's 7 o'clock now, and this line is not even into Charlotte yet. And so you want a weather radio, something that will wake you up if you go to bed early. You want a phone, an app that might ding. You want more than one way to get a warning. In case one fails you, you have some backups. Right now, the question is going to be here at 7:28 what the Weather Service decides to do. Scotty, you want to read off? It looks like we have some new information coming into chat.
We got Greenville City Fire Department, Greenville, South Carolina department reporting some downed trees and power lines near the 300 block of Stone Avenue. I don't know, James. Let's pop your radar scope up. Do you have storm reports on there?
I do.
So if we back this out, if you kind of can connect the dots there from Oconee County, which is right there, you can kind of see
right here.
The Oconee County.
Oh, this. Oh, you want me to take this way back? You want me to like put this into like a 3-hour loop?
No, just highlight that storm report there in Oconee County.
Okay, right here.
And
this is the car flip CVS one.
Right, and now if we got a report of Greenville, downtown Greenville of damage.
Oh, like here, right?
So you can kind of see now if you connect the line there. This is the same storm that's been kind of meandering through the upstate. Now that it's getting in, we're getting into this low, this little localized low pressure. So it's starting to now rotate into the mountains. But if you kind of look at that track, kind of shows you the damage track of where this, we could call it an embedded supercell if you want, of this storm damage there. So you kind of connect the dots there. It's something I like to do to kind of see, it's a pretty consistent line there where this storm has moved through that's produced damage. So if you live downstream of this storm, hey, you can look back and say there is a history of some damage with this event. Yeah. So
we do have confirmation. We have confirmation from the Weather Service that they'll issue an official storm report for that. So it's getting verified. The Weather Service also looked at this information that just came on in from a reliable source, from a first responding official, and the Weather Service also looked at it with their tools, radar and and said, yep, that makes sense. It's still going to issue what's called an LSR, a local storm report for that. And Scotty, good call on kind of the mapping here. And it's very interesting now that we got this in motion, right? That I've been watching some of these lines today, but the whole system is moving to the east, but then some of these storms are training to the north.
If you look at the observations, the surface observations, the METARs, you see at the surface we have southeast winds blowing in off the Atlantic Ocean. We have this cold front that's moving in from the west. And so that's your rotation right there. You've got wind flow coming in from the west associated with this cold front. At the surface, you have southeast winds, so they're veering back, and that's where we're getting these rotating thunderstorms, what we call supercells, and then sometimes that rotation can last or maintain all the way to the surface, and that's where we could see those tornadoes. We'll have to see what the Weather Service says with these 3 damage reports, if there's just straight line damaging wind or if it was an actual tornado that did touch down at the surface. But if you look at those surface profiles, the winds are coming in from the southeast, and then you look where the main line is moving from west to east, and so there you can kind of see that sheer directional change of wind, and that's where we're seeing these storms really line up.
What the other thing that reminds me, this is so summertime like, right? Mm-hmm. If so many people have weather apps at home that they might be trying to follow along depending on what their evening activities are, watch out here. They're generating. They're popping up, right? It's very summertime like.
And there's a lot of CAPE, and that's just thunderstorm fuel in that area along the Interstate 85 corridor from Charlotte up to Greensboro. There's a highlighted area of about 1,000 joules of CAPE. You don't need to know the 1,000 joules part. Just know that there's CAPE. There's instability there.
Yeah.
A little bit of sunshine that's peaked out throughout the day at times, and that's just that added fuel that these thunderstorms need to kind of grow and survive. Just like you and me need food and water, these thunderstorms need energy to survive, and that CAPE is providing that energy for them. And that tornado warning has been allowed to expire at 7:30. So that's good news.
It's funny you mentioned food because I always like to tell people if it looks like popcorn, and I'm always almost thinking of like old-fashioned popcorn you make on the stovetop or over a campfire, and it starts popping. That's exactly what's happening with a lot of these storms. The other thing I'm noticing, Scotty, is watch over time. By the time we get to the last frame, we're going to have almost like these lines that are starting to connect, starting to play connect the dots, like right up on in here. As opposed to when it's 2 hours back and it's a little bit more scattered. We were getting across the Charlotte area, we were getting those isolated mini supercells that we're trying to rotate. Now the line almost seems like it's building a boundary that is going to then kind of push.
And that's going to be a focus for some heavy rain, right in that area that you're highlighting.
Yeah,
that's focused for some heavy rain. I'm actually doing this. I'm also responsible for a concert that's going on right now for Atrium Health at Charlotte Motor Speedway, so been providing updates with them. So
that would be
if you live in Charlotte,
yeah,
if you live in Charlotte, and James, you live
I'm in
there
Charlotte, yes,
and I'm covering Charlotte tonight for an event. That line over Union, Chester, York County kind of looks a little scary to me.
Yeah,
I still think it's about 90 minutes to maybe 2 hours, maybe if we're lucky. Before it kind of moves into the greater Charlotte area, but that's going to have to be watched too, because like you said, there's some fuel there for these thunderstorms to kind of thrive off of.
Scotty Powell in the foothills of Western North Carolina, keeping an eye on things. James Brierton here in Charlotte. Comment that came in I want to address. Is this live? This is live if you're watching it on Saturday, April the 10th, 2021 at 7:34 p.m. Eastern Time. You are watching severe weather coverage from the folks here at the Carolina Weather Group. And if you are new to us, we are a weekly weather podcast. We come out with new episodes every Wednesday talking about weather, science, technology, and more from the Carolinas. Meaning, if you live outside the Carolinas, it's probably still of interest to you. And what you're watching right now is our wall-to-wall severe weather coverage across all platforms, live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Periscope. We're also simulcasting on our mothership, the Carolina Weather Net. That is our nonstop streaming weather feed for the Carolinas, that when we are not in live coverage, will show you real-time weather conditions and real-time warnings alongside the best of our Carolina Weather Group podcast. We're going to be going back to that in just a moment. If that is something you want to check out, and you can find it on YouTube exclusively. It is on our Carolina Weather Group YouTube channel. So that means if you're watching on Periscope or you're watching on Facebook, we love you. But if you wanted to go watch the Carolina Weather Net in standby mode, you'd have to join the party over on YouTube. We will pop back up on all of our platforms when severe weather such as a tornado warning threatens, but our non-stop channel in its standby mode with the glory of the best of our show alongside these real-time conditions can only be found on YouTube.
James,
so go ahead, Scott.
Couple more reports from Greenville, South Carolina. This is from fire department, fire officials. Some reports of on-duty personnel in the Greenville City Fire Department reporting a lot of damage north of downtown on East Earl Street. So
in Greenville,
in Greenville, South Carolina. So we will have to watch that area and kind of monitor these reports. There's a new tornado warning coming out now for Rutherford County. This is going to be
somewhere close to that line we were. I'm going to guess it's going to be
probably from Forest City to the McDowell County line.
Come on, right there.
If I had to guess. I will say it would not be mid-April without a Carolina Weather Group tornado warning coverage. It seems like we do it every time this time of the year. So 2021 continuing the tradition of tornado warnings in the Carolinas.
Yeah, well, it's my son's birthday is around this time, and we're always doing severe weather coverage around his birthday, it seems. So we're waiting. We speculate it's going to be just north of Rutherfordton. I'd be curious to see. We've only had 6 minutes since the last time this warning was issued, so it'd be curious to see if we get any damage reports out of Rutherfordton. But it's going to be somewhere in this area, we think. We'll wait for the Weather Service to officially type it up and draw it. What's up?
So we're talking about that report in Oconee County. This report coming out of a 160-foot radio tower located behind the CVS in Seneca that was mentioned in the LSR was damaged. The top 50-foot folded over in the wind. So that is something happened down there. Yeah.
I don't want to say it, but There wasn't a warning there, was there?
So this is going to come Burke, McDowell, and Rutherford. So James, let me get my people warned, and then I'll help you out. You're gonna
okay.
get all
I
kinds
got
of alerts here at
you.
my
Do
house.
your people, then I got to do mine.
Okay.
All right, so we have a new tornado warning right now that goes until 8:15. Scrolling at the bottom of your screen, this is going to be, as Scotty just mentioned, for Burke and McDowell County and Rutherfordton until 8:15. And it's going to be right there on your screen here in just the next few minutes. And we were just talking a moment ago when Scotty was referring to that radio tower. That was around 5:50 in Oconee County, South Carolina. So that was earlier. We don't have any storm damage reports right now out of this Rutherfordton County storm, but we do have this tornado warning now just issued by the National Weather Service for southeastern McDowell County, northeastern Rutherford County, central Burke until 8:15. National Weather Service tracking a thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado 7 miles northeast of Rutherfordton or 7 miles north of Spindale, moving north at 45 miles an hour. Locations include, but are not limited to, Morganton, Glen Apple, Salem, Lake James State Park, Lake James, of course, itself. All those areas about 8 o'clock is your ETA. Table Rock at about 8:10. So if you're inside any or near any of those locations, you want to go ahead and get to the lowest level of a sturdy structure, as many walls between you and the outside world as possible. And you want to put a helmet on, put some shoes on, put some pants, some eye protection if you can. And you want to go ahead and move there now. And if you know anybody who lives in that area, give them a call. They may not be watching right now. You can see right now we have that polygon on your screen. Left side of your screen and the right side of your screen are the same physical locations. Left side is the reflectivity you're so used to seeing on television for heavy rain. Right side is wind for velocity. And so where we're watching right now is the speculated tornado right up on in here just north of Rutherfordton, where the green and the red come together, because that's where the wind and the rain, the wind is coming towards the radar and away from the radar in close proximity to each other. And this is going to be, again, moving now north and east. Marion, you are just outside of this, but stay weather aware. We should all stay weather aware. You are pretty close to this, Marion. You're just outside this particular polygon, and we'll be keeping an eye on it.
Okay, so sorry about that, guys. My house is in this polygon, so I'm going to have to monitor several things. I need to let the Speedway know that I'm under a tornado warning and may lose power. So anyway, this tornado warning, this is going to be moving into McDowell and Burke County soon. This is going to be, there's a couplet here. This is very mountainous looking terrain, but this is going to be traveling up Highway 64. So if you are in the Highway 64 area, this is going to be in Brindletown, Dysartsville community. You need to be in your safe place right now, lowest level of your home. Put as many walls between you and the outside.
I'm sorry. I'm just looking at the size of the severe thunderstorm warning that just came out. We were just talking about everyone else that needs to be weather aware. We're going to have a severe thunderstorm warning on the screen here for just for all of this. Hickory, Lincoln County, Cleveland County, 60 mile per hour damaging wind potential coming away, as well as hail 3/4 inch size. And that is a very large severe thunderstorm warning, especially for this particular weather service office. They don't normally issue ones that big, but I think it's because, Scotty, they're clearly just looking at all of this wind. Look at all that bright pink there that is going to be moving on up this way. And again, they're also watching. So we're watching this. Come on, Telestrator. We're watching this area right here for potential tornadic rotation. We're watching this area right here for the possibility of the same thing, but all of this is moving this way. Wind is wind, folks. So, you know, whether it is rotating in a funnel or it is coming at you in a wall in straight line, it can be damaging. And so we're going to be keeping a very close eye on this. The Weather Service is also working on some storm damage reports from a little bit earlier.
Okay, so guys, again, if you live on Highway 64, this is going to be moving up into your area. I can't stress enough, if you're in Brindletown, Desertsville community, you need to be in your safe place. This is going to be moving on the west side of the South Mountain State Park area, Brindletown. There's Glen Alpine, Lake James, Morganton, eventually Chesterfield. This is heading in your direction. In fact, I'm looking outside my window right now, and it does not look good. Looking at this thunderstorm right now, this has got his eyes set here on Morganton right now. So I can actually see right now, if I could flip my camera over. James, I know this is unprofessional, but we're going to flip my camera out this way. So right here is what we are seeing. This is going to be the thunderstorm that we're watching, the potential tornado warning or potential tornado. This warning is going to be from Morganton. So if you are in Morganton, you need to be in your safe place right now. So that is Morganton, safe place right now. Lowest level of your home. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. You want to be in your safe place. If you live in Salem, again, this is going to be traveling up Highway 6418. So that's Rural King, Lowe's Home Improvement. You have the Cookout, the Chick-fil-A, Western Piedmont Community College. You have the Walmart shopping facility, downtown Morganton. This is going to be Johns River, the Walter Johnson Middle School area. You want to be in your safe place right now. These are all areas that are right here at my house. So I'm going to go get a safe place in just a little bit as that circulation moves a little bit closer. I still got a little bit of time, but I'm going to monitor that. Seeing a lot of lightning with this cell as well. That means that the storm is really starting to strengthen. So you need to be in your safe place right now. And outside of that, we also have that severe thunderstorm warning for Catawba County, for Lincoln, for Cleveland, Gaston. That's going to be some very gusty winds as well. But this particular area of interest is now north of Forest City and Rutherfordton. So if you learn Rutherfordton, you're in the clear. This is going to be moving into southwestern McDowell and central Burke County right now. Southwestern McDowell, central Burke County right now. You need to be in that safe place because this storm is moving very quickly into the area.
Scotty Powell in Morganton, North Carolina. Inside this tornado warned cell, the National Weather Service is tracking. And this is coming out of Rutherfordton County, North Carolina, into Burke County and into Morganton, where he is. The warning itself will go into 8:30.
I'm going to need to get my dog to stop barking. Lots of going on here. I need to share this out to our people here so we can get you on in the safe place here. So I'm going to share this out on my personal page here for all those who may not be knowing the tornado warning is here.
So you want to be moving to the lowest level of a sturdy structure and as many walls between you and the outside world as possible. And you want to call somebody if you're not in that area yourself. Give them a call. Let them know what it is. So we're watching on the right side of your screen. Right in here is the potential tornadic rotation that the radar is indicating.
Yeah, this is going to be moving right up the Highway 6418 corridor. I will tell you this: there's all kinds of EAS alerts going on right now here in the county. So, Jared, I know you got radar up. Maybe you can handle it for just a second.
Jared Smith will be taking over momentarily from Charleston, South Carolina. Go ahead, Scotty, and do exactly what it is that we preach: is move to your safe place. I'll be handing off coverage to him here momentarily to continue tracking from outside the area. We have some questions and comments about Myrtle Beach and other areas. This is the only game in town right now, folks. We do have all that heavy rain we talked about, but the only tornado warning is the one that we're talking about right now on your screen, and the only severe thunderstorm warning is just right next to it. Those are the only areas right now that are warned by any National Weather Service office in the Carolinas. We don't have any damage associated yet with this particular storm. We have other damage reports from earlier storms in upstate South Carolina, and we'll talk more about those later as we were talking about them a few moments ago.
Yep, James. Good evening, everybody. Just joining the coverage here a little bit. Obviously, we have a just kind of assessing what's going on here. Let's reset things a little bit. We have a tornado warning. This goes until 8:15, and this is going to include places like Morganton. As you know, Scotty is in Morganton. He's taking shelter right now. Glen Alpine, Salem, Lake James State Park, Lake James around 8 o'clock, Table Rock around 8:10. GSP is saying that a brief it looks like GSP is saying that there could be a weak tornado in here, and this has been cycling up and down, but you're definitely getting a good look now at right here is where your tornado warning, where your possible tornado could be. And what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna try and get a little bit better road data here in a second. So there's your hook, there's your inflow notch, there's your rotation right here. What we've got going on here, like we had with Scotty before, we've got a split screen. So I've got the reflectivity over on this side, and I've got the velocity directly behind me. Velocity shows you which way the wind is blowing. It's going towards the radar and away from the radar. When those areas come together, then we have a decent probability that we could have something down. So let me, we'll be switching radar sources here in just a second, but I want to urge people in Morganton right now, and anybody who, if your EAS just went off, if you're in those areas, I want to urge you to get to shelter. Lowest floor, interior room. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Very important to do that, as this potentially dangerous storm moves very quickly. I think that's the other thing that we should call out here, is that this is moving north at 45 miles an hour. It's probably very, very wrapped in rain. A lot of rain directly out in front of it. So again, you're not going to see it. Don't try to look for it. Just take cover. I mean, I think that's the most important thing that we can have you do right now. So again, I'm working on over here, taking a different source. This has some additional things. We'll be able to show you the rotation a little bit better with this. And I also want to point out that we have a severe thunderstorm warning that includes Lincolnton, Shelby. Let me zoom out to that actually. Hickory, Sawmills, Cherryville, Maiden, and this guy is going until 8:30. So again, southeast of the tornado, we may see some very strong damaging wind gusts here. If I sample it with the radar, now keep in mind the radar is looking up a little bit, but you got the radar here sampling winds about 60 miles an hour, about 2,000 feet up. So that very likely is going to show where we could get some of those more dangerous wind gusts as they come down. So let me, almost there, just the wonders of technology. But again, so a couple really dangerous storms right now, obviously in the foothills of North Carolina, getting into the Piedmont. This line of storms extends down. It's going to move into Columbia. Right now, nothing severe as you go further south. And again, we had a question about Myrtle Beach. We'll take that real quick. And bring this up right now. We're looking so this is looking out from Wilmington, North Carolina, starting to see it come into the radar range. However, the good news is that as the heating of the day is lost, we should start to see things improve a little bit as far as the severe weather threat further to the east. So I know that we had those questions come in, and certainly something that we're going to keep an eye on tonight, but I'm not too concerned right now. The main concern right now is for areas in the foothills of North Carolina, Salem, Morganton, Ruth. I think you're done, and you're going to be done with this in Ruth. This is crossing county lines now. Let me And again, I'm in the process of getting some additional stuff up. We've got Frank Strait joining us from the road. Frank, where are you at?
I am in Moore, South Carolina. I heard that we had a damage report from that area, so I thought I'd drive down and check it out. I've not seen anything so far other than a beautiful rainbow and some pretty impressive sunlight through clouds. On the lookout for the damage that may have occurred from a possible tornado earlier, though.
Yeah, I had seen, I actually saw something from Seneca. It looks like there was some damage out that way as well. So if you're looking for something to, if you're looking for something else to chase, that might certainly be something to keep in mind out in Seneca, South Carolina. So Frank is going to be out there looking for damage reports from earlier storms. I am going to awkwardly resize my window here until you see exactly what I've got going on. So we're going to do that. We're going to do that. And I think we're just going to roll with this. All right. So this is a little bit better look at the radar here. This gives us, for those of you who aren't familiar with the geography, this gives you some of the county names and everything there. So let's take a look-see here. So again, Cleveland County up into Hickory, Catawba County, there's some very heavy rain moving in there. Your possible tornado is south of I-40 right now. Let's go to the rotation product, and what this does is that this kind of cuts out some of the noise and lets us see a little more closely into if there's circulation within the storm. And we do have a spot, you can see I'm kind of mousing around it here. This is going to be a little southeast of Glenwood. This is running parallel, kind of splitting the difference between 221 and 64. This is and this is in the southwest corner, or the southeast corner rather, of McDowell County. So again, right now, if I take the storm motion and we're going to put a little rudimentary storm track on this guy. Again, moving north about 45 miles an hour. This is a very fast storm. This is going to cross I-20 or I-40 rather, in the next 10 to 15 minutes. So if you're on I-40 between Marion and I'd say Hickory, bad idea. Right? Honestly, that's not the place that I would want to be right now. If you were there, if you're on I-40, find an exit, get off, and just wait this thing out. The good news is that it's moving pretty quickly, and it's not going to be with us all night. So just a brief detour to keep you safe, and you should be fine. So again, let's put the reflectivity back on. Just that little and you have this little velocity couplet here. Let's go to storm relative velocity. It's not the most, it's not the best looking couplet that you'll ever see. And I think that is a good thing, obviously. But again, there is the potential for this to spin up and down. It's been doing that off and on, really since coming out of the upstate. This has had a few tornado warnings on it throughout the day, and it looks like it is continuing to cycle up and down as time permits. So again, for those of you just joining us, we're covering a tornado warning for Rutherford County, McDowell County, and Burke County in North Carolina. And this includes the city of Morganton. Scotty Powell, kind of the lead guy around here. He is in a safe place right now, taking cover. He's up in Morganton, and so he is doing the thing that we ask you to do, which is to move to an interior room on the lowest floor of a safe structure, a site belt structure. Really don't have many basements. If you do, great. Not a bad time to use it. Interior room, lowest floor, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible, and stay away from windows. I think that's also critically important. So again, looking at looking at this, what we're looking at right now is the rotation product, and it's this is not what we if you've watched Carolina Weather Group before, and I've anchored the coverage, you probably have seen this. You probably have seen this product before. It doesn't look too bad right now. It is certainly, again, if we put the velocity display on here, it is not the best defined circulation that you'll ever see, but there is something in there. And again, I think, and we'll tilt up a little bit and we'll look to see if we can find any additional circulation, and there's some broad rotation aloft. So again, that could translate down to the ground and briefly create a weak tornado as it approaches I-40 here in the next few minutes. Let's talk about who we can maybe say, you don't have to worry about this one anymore. I say Rutherfordton, I think you're pretty good. You're in good shape at this point. This is north of you, and this is moved away from you. So most of Rutherford County, I would say, is probably in a good place. So let me all right, so there's your velocity. Let's go back to the rotation product. And it does look like it's picking up a bit more. And it's also worth noting that, look, there might be a second spot. No, that looks like that's bad data. Let's see. We're just yeah, it looks like we've got maybe some bad data there. There is a little bit of brief rotation there, but it looks like we have a radar artifact here that is kind of clouding the view. We'll tilt up a little bit, and you can see that there is some of that broad rotation there, but I don't think that one is going to be the one that we're going to have to be immediately concerned about. We go back to the reflectivity product. So again, or the NROT product. So again, this little perk up here, this is bad data. I wouldn't worry about that. The one that we're watching is in southeastern McDowell County. This right here, and this is turning just east of Glenwood. Now it's a little bit elongated here, so this is not the tight, like the really tight rotation that we would typically see on radar in a tornado warning in a tornado, which is good news. That does not mean that there is nothing potentially there, but it's certainly something. It's certainly, we're going to take any good sign that we can get. Let me get this back here and I'll close that out. So again, there's the broad rotation there. And I think, if you're just joining us, we've also got a severe thunderstorm warning for damaging straight line winds. And we could have something else trying to get going here in Cleveland County. I don't like the look of that. Has a little bit of a swirl to it. There's a little bit of inflow here north of Polkdale and into Bellwood. So again, I don't see the velocity data telling me that story either. So hopefully that is transient. Hopefully that is just staying aloft and we don't have to worry about that. But again, right now, the main threat is in southeastern McDowell County. This is definitely not looking as pronounced as it once was. Put on the various velocity displays here, storm relative velocity. Again, you have, maybe a few weak outbounds and a few strong inbounds, but nothing there that is necessarily screaming that something is happening. But these things can tighten up super fast. So again, the best course of action if you're in this polygon is to get to shelter, stay in shelter, lowest floor interior room, as Scotty Powell is doing right now. So we've got velocity couplet is probably now, I would say, if I just did a storm track here, probably, in the next 10 minutes or so, this whatever is here is going to cross I-40 just east of Marion in McDowell County. And then this is going to be generally on course, probably going to split the difference between Marion and Morganton if I were a betting man. However, we've got to be careful to note that sometimes these things can redevelop further southwest. And it looks like Scotty's back.
Yeah, I've analyzed. It looks like the circulation is going to pass to my west. So I'm still technically in the polygon, but I think the circulation is going to pass to my west. So I feel safe to be here. And if I need to jump back in, I can definitely.
Scotty, I would watch an area of rotation south of you. I'm looking at a little higher up, and there is some broad rotation beginning to develop right along 64 south of Morganton. And this would be right in the line for city center and Morganton. So certainly not ready yet, not ready to call all clear for that yet. We could see something else, maybe a handoff here. Again, this is looking up in the storm a little bit. You can see there's a couple tilts of rotation here, some questionable data closer to the surface, but I would certainly keep an eye on this to see if maybe it tries to spin down a little bit. So regardless, damaging straight line winds certainly seem to be a possibility as well. We have some, we have some basic areas of broad rotation over near Lincolnton and north of Shelby here. But again, over here is in the yellow polygon is a severe thunderstorm warning. That is for damaging straight line winds, 60 plus miles an hour, very likely making it to the ground. So again, we got Scotty Powell back. He's in Morganton. Right now, so far, so good. We're going to continue to watch this. That's bad data. We're going to continue to watch a couple areas of concern, one in southeast McDowell County, and one maybe trying to get going on US 64 here. So, and just entered Burke County.
And Jared, that's a spot that is familiar with previous touchdowns. I want to say back in 2011, 2010, somewhere right in there, there was a touchdown EF1 in the Brindletown community. So that area that Jared's highlighting, perfect, Jared. If you keep that up right there, that's the Brindletown community. That's how heading up Highway 64. So you definitely want to be in your storm shelter. Next community would be Salem. You have like Pete Britton Road out that way. It's going to connect you over towards Conley Road, towards Glen Alpine, which is right off Interstate 40. Glen Alpine will be the second spot to be monitoring if that storm track continues. And then, as Jared was saying, in McDowell County, you have Dysartsville. So that's the Dysartsville community that you definitely want to be monitoring as well for those rotations. So again, all of Burke County, Valdez to your west there, you need to be in that safe place as we continue to watch this line. And Jared, I believe I was just a little scattered there. I believe you were talking about just the widespread warning itself and how much damage and wind is possible with this event.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we go down here again, and what I'll do is I'll set the radar data as we go over it. And you can see, I mean, this is pretty good, 50, 60 miles an hour and just about, 2,500 feet up or so. And so that can mix down to the surface and cause, down trees, power lines. So get ready for power outages. Again, it's a good idea to stay inside and away from windows in any severe thunderstorm. We could also see some hail, maybe. I'm not really seeing the hail. Not really seeing that hail potential there. One thing that's interesting is that there's not a lot of lightning. And
there's not. You're right about that. There's not a lot of lightning with this event. And I will say this. It is getting really dark outside, so you're not going to see anything coming towards you anyway with this being rain wrapped, and it's 8:05 now. This tornado warning goes for another 10 minutes. I'm distracted because the way my office is setting, I have a window right out here that's pointing directly into where this rotation's at, so I'm leaning back and forth to look out the window and stuff. So I'm going to take my headphones out and look, and I'm just kind of looking. It's really calm where I'm at. There's hardly even a breeze, but you can kind of see the low-level jet, those low-level clouds really racing. So we will continue to watch that. But again, if you are in Morganton, over towards Salem, I will say the Rutherford County portion of this warning has been canceled. So this is going to be primarily for Burke and just a slight section there in southwestern McDowell County. But again, if you live on Highway 64 near Brindletown up towards Salem, this is going to be in the Morganton. That's where the rotation is at, and that's where the heaviest winds are located as well. I'm seeing 60-some mile per hour wind gusts possible moving up Highway 64 right now, according at least to the radar here. So I know that's a little more elevated as we're a little further away from the radar itself. But Jared, the wind is wind, no matter if it's rotating or if it's blown in a straight line. It definitely can cause damage.
Yep, that's absolutely correct. And something else to call out from the warning is that GSP, is the Weather Service in Greenville Spartanburg, is now most concerned with the rotation that's just south of Glen Alpine. So the rotation that we were talking about here a few minutes ago, that we've been talking about now for the last 5 or 10 minutes around 64, Highway 64, this is lifting north now. This is about to cross I-40, and Glen Alpine looks to be kind of the, if we're going to see anything, if something's going to happen right now, it looks like it's going to happen near Glen Alpine. Something to watch there. We still have, a broad area of circulation. Again, this is the one that kind of prompted the warning out in McDowell County, but the main concern now is south of Glen Alpine. And again, we'll do the rotation product, and I mean, it certainly seems like that this is starting to intensify again in McDowell County. We may be dealing with two cells here. Let's tilt up a little bit, and you can see, and it looks like we haven't gotten all the tilts yet, but it certainly seems like that one may be getting a little bit stronger as time goes by. But right now, but the main concern now is for Glen Alpine. And again, this may be a little bit of a closer call for Morganton, but certainly right now does not appear. It's going to be very close.
That looks nasty right there. So if you're in Glen Alpine right now, this is a Jamestown Road, exit 100. This is going to be the Dodge Jeep Chrysler dealership. This is going to be going up to Glen Alpine. You have Doogie's Pizzas and Subs there, Alpine Burrito, Highway 70. This is going to incorporate exits 103 to exit 96. Excuse me, on Interstate 40. You need to be in that safe place right now, as well as McDowell County as you cross over there around exit 90 into the Bridgewater community and then into McDowell County. You need to be in that storm safe place right now, all the way from Interstate 40 down towards Dysartsville there on Dysartsville Road. Lake James, you need to be in your safe place as well. Lake James, you are under the gun. This will eventually move up into the Oak Hill area. So let me take this phone call right quick, Jared.
Go for it. So again, for those of you who just joined us, I've got Scotty Powell here. He's in Morganton. I'm Jared Smith in Charleston. There's no severe weather threat here in the Low Country, so it's pretty easy for me to take over here and help these guys out this evening. So kind of resetting right now, we're here because of a tornado warning in McDowell and Burke counties in North Carolina. And we have two areas of interest. One of them is south of Glen Alpine, about to move into Glen Alpine within the next 5 minutes. And this, again, is exhibiting some rotation. We have not heard any signs of any reports of anything down, but that could happen very quickly. So we want people in Glen Alpine, Morganton, Salem to be in their safe place. We have a second area of rotation that seems to might be trying to ramp up a little bit again. Really, the area of rotation that prompted the warning south of I-40 to the east of West Marion and Marion in McDowell counties. And this is going to cross I-40 here in the next 15 minutes. So again, anywhere, I-40 anywhere from maybe West Marion over to Valdese at this point, probably not a good idea to be on that road. If you're there, find a place that you can get off the road at. And it looks like we've just had one of the circulations cross I-40 as of this last sweep. Again, we're getting sweeps about every 90 seconds is now over US 70, about ready to move into Glen Alpine. This second area of rotation is certainly still looking pretty potent in McDowell County. This is about to cross I-40 there, and we'll cross US 70 here in the next 10 to 15 minutes. Let's look at the velocity display. And I'll tell you, yeah, this is certainly here when you have these reds and these greens. Greens are winds going towards the radar, reds are winds going away. And when you have these really close together like this certainly seems to be tightening, and definitely something that we're going to want to watch. It's a little broader up towards Glen Alpine. It's very possible that this could be a little bit weaker, but it's certainly something that we need to keep on our guard for. So two areas of interest right now, Glen Alpine and then far southeastern McDowell County. We'll zoom out a little bit. And again, unfortunately, we're getting into radar no man's land with these. If you're in central North Carolina, write your congressman, get a radar. But we're gonna do our best with what we've got. So again, we have two warnings on the board. One, the tornado warning over in Morganton and Marion and Burke and McDowell counties. The second one is severe thunderstorm warning for Lincoln, Catawba County, and looks like eastern parts of Burke County for straight line winds, 60 miles an hour plus over the next, really up until about 8:15, 8:30. I would not be surprised to see this tornado warning continue. This is scheduled to go at 8:15, and I just think it's going to be reissued.
Jared, I will say this: there's reports coming now out of Rutherford County of some wind damage where this storm just moved out of. So this storm does have history producing some wind. In fact, the report says a report of a large tree, the top of it ripped out at the intersection of Pinehurst Road and Business 74. Excuse me. So this storm does have some damage. I will say it's very heavy rain right now where I live, but I am watching that area that you've been talking about there towards Glen Alpine in McDowell County, and I really just don't like that rotation at all right there. Mm-hmm. That's concerning to me.
No, certainly. And again, we're getting on this rotation product here. This is a normalized rotation product. This is something we like to use to kind of call out what's spinning. Where is the wind shear? This helps us find that. And when you get into these brighter greens, you start seeing stronger and stronger rotation there. And again, this is about to cross I-40, about to cross US 70. This stronger area is going to miss Glen Alpine to the west. But we have that second area of rotation, not quite as strong based on the radar presentation, but still Glen Alpine for the next few minutes. Stay in your safe spot. We'll see what happens with the warning. Again, we're coming up on the expiration in a couple minutes, but I would be very surprised if it did not get reissued in McDowell County, at least for a short time, and up back into Burke County. So we'll let the Weather Service make the warning decision. They're way better at this than we are. We just, we leave that to the experts, and we're going to tell you what they're saying. We're going to relay their thoughts as we have time, and as we can, and make sure that you get the most important information that you need to help keep your family safe. So again, really the area of rotation that I think I'm most concerned about now, Scotty, goes back to McDowell County. It looks like it's handed back off, about to cross I-40, a little speckle of NROT over 1. I'm going to turn the smoothing off to kind of demonstrate that. So you have a little maximum right here. And that certainly could be indicative of stronger rotation developing just south of I-40 and near US 70. And again, here's the traditional storm relative velocity view. Again, the winds going away from the radar in the reds, and the winds going towards the radar in the greens. And where this comes together, that's where you get concerns for possible tornado.
And Jared, this is going to be moving quickly. I mean, once we get to Lake James, we're moving quickly into the escarpment area. A, that's good part because it's not as populated. But B, the mountains get higher into the surface, into the lower levels, and we could see those at least damage and wind gusts cause some damage there. So A, it's good because it's less populated, but B, we could see more damage because of the elevation rise. So but as soon as you get north of Interstate 40 into the Lake James area, you're really getting into some elevation there. So have to watch that. Looks like they've allowed that tornado warning to expire. So
interesting. Well, that's good news. I'm going to say that we probably should hang out here a little bit.
Yes.
Just a hunch. We're going to hang on to this for a little bit longer. We still do have an area of rotation about ready to cross I-40 and US 70 into western Burke County. And again, it's headed towards this escarpment.
We've got a new one. Avery, Burke, Caldwell, McDowell. So there
it is. Okay. So yeah, as I suspected, I had a feeling that this wasn't going to last, that was going to happen. So we're going to get this new polygon up here in a second. Boy, that's looking really good. That's a all right. So there's a donut hole right here. This certainly looks like it's tightening up right over I-40. Looking at the reflectivity here. So here's your tornado warning. Morganton, you're not in this one. Gamewell, Lenore, you're not in this one. Again, this is going to be for kind of western parts of Caldwell County, up towards the escarpment. We'll take the radar data off, and Scotty, if you want to call out, you know this area way better than I do. If you want to call out some spots.
Thankfully, we've got less populated spots, but we do have some population up there. Lake James definitely is a lake town. A lot of folks that live up there, both on McDowell and Burke County side. So if you live in Lake James area, you need to be in your safe place. The next spot would be Oak Hill. If you live in Oak Hill, you need to be in your safe spot, a community there, a lot of people that live in that area. Oak Hill, you need to be in that safe spot right now. Next would be the fish hatchery area up to Table Rock. Actually have family that lives in this area. You guys need to be, I know you're watching, I see you watching on the Facebook Live. You need to be in your safe spot right now. So that's Oak Hill and the fish hatchery area. I know you guys are watching. I've seen you on the live stream. Get in your shelter, lowest level of your home right now. Next would be up into the Collegeville area, Playmore Beach area. That would be into the Burke-Caldwell County area. You need to be in your safe place, and then eventually Jonas Ridge into the Crossnore Pinola area, which is Burke Avery County areas. So not as populated, but there's still some population centers there. So if you've heard me mention your area, you need to be in that safe spot, and that's the lowest level of your home, preferably a basement, but if not, most centralized. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Have your bike helmet, baseball helmet, football helmet, some sort of helmet to protect you from flying debris. Make sure you have some good shoes on. So if there is any damage and you need to go outside, you're not injuring your foot. It's also a good idea to have some type of eye protection and long sleeves as well from any flying debris. So again, that would be the Nebo, Lake James area, Glen Alpine area right now. Then it's moving into the Oak Hill community, the fish hatchery area, and then eventually Playmore Beach, Table Rock, Jonas Ridge, up into Collegeville and Pinola Crossnore area there in the northern parts of the county. So definitely need to be in your safe place right now.
Yeah, Scotty, and got the reflectivity view back up, and you can see the little donut hole showing up here on radar, and that's what we call a bounded weak ecoregion, BWER. Donuts, because I'm still kind of hungry. And when you get that, that's a little pinhole. It's almost like an eye feature, an eye-ish feature. And that's something that we're going to want, that looks like it's just crossed 70, just crossed 40, and again is heading into Lake James right now. I think Scotty is furiously texting, texting people to let them know, hey, we've got a problem here, and certainly something that we're going to want to take seriously. So let's zoom in on this a little bit. I think the one thing to note is that, major population centers, Morganton, Salem, you're not in this warning. Glen Alpine, you're on the very, you're on the very edge of this warning. I would say hang out 5-10 more minutes and then you'll be okay. Here's your rotation. Looks like it is a little bit broader than it had been. We saw it tighten up here pretty nicely just before it crossed I-40. And it's still, fairly tight, but is certainly not where it was at its peak. Do the rotation product here, and we're zoomed in way big, and that's, and that's okay, and that's just fine. You can see here that we have kind of an elongated area of wind shear now. If there was going to be anything, going on, it'd be basically due west of Glen Alpine, right in this little area of brighter green. But again, we're starting to see that elongate a little bit. So hopefully that's a sign that whatever might have been there might be weakening a little bit, but don't let your guard down, because again, this is the kind of thing that can spin right back up. That's why the Weather Service has reissued the tornado warning. And we still have that weak ecoregion. You can still see a swirl. If you look at this reflectivity closely, you can still see kind of that swirl. You might have some pretty strong winds coming into Glen Alpine right now, actually, from the backside of, what looks like some rotation. We'll tilt up a little bit and you can see, and again, we're kind of working between scans here. But yeah, it's a pretty broad rotation, and that's bearing out pretty nicely in the reflectivity data. So again, this is, I'm going to make sure I've got this is moving north at 30 miles an hour. And again, it's right around Lake James right now. I will also say that, again, you're going to be completely rain wrapped here. You're not going to see this. Don't look for it. Don't go looking for it. It's getting dark. There's just no sign. There's going to be, by the time you hear it and see it, it's going to be way too late. So let's just take shelter, lowest floor, interior room, hallway, closet. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible in a site-built structure. If you're in a mobile home, you're going to want to find a site-built structure. Hopefully you're already there. And just ride this thing out until the warning, until we give you all clear. We'll be fine. This is nothing we can't handle, but we want everybody to be careful. So again, this severe thunderstorm, which is capable of producing a tornado, looks like it's north of I-40 now, looks like it's north of Highway 70. Crossing right into Lake James. I'll turn on turn that off, and you can see I have kind of a black and white view, but this is Lake James right here, and you can see there are some bits of population there. So I'll overlay the radar data right there, and that is moving north at about 30 miles an hour. So, Scotty, have you heard anything?
I have not got any reports. Just looking at through social media, I've not seen anything yet. But sometimes with it being dark, it takes a little bit of time for those to come in. But nothing yet. And again, Jared, this is moving into very elevated surfaces. I mean, we're talking 2,000, 3,000 feet off the ground, so above sea level. So we're going to be getting into some mountainous territory there as well. And you know, sometimes those can kind of hamper the storm development a little bit. So we'll have to watch it. But you know, I've not seen any reports yet. And looking at the radar, it's you need to be there. You need to be in your safe place. But I've seen worse, but it's still good to be in your safe place.
Yeah. We just got a new scan from the radar, and again, this is turning out to be a pretty pretty big meso. Yeah. And so this guy, let me so again, this is a big swirl. And now, if we look down the road a little bit, I also wanted to point out that, you know, this is eventually headed towards Blowing Rock and Boone. So something to keep an eye on here. I'm going to resize myself quickly so y'all can actually see me. The magic of television. I just magically grow right in front of you here. So, but I am still. I'm still really, I would watch this closely. We'll see what the elevations do, but again, regardless, there could still be some very strong winds. We also have a severe thunderstorm warning. It looks like we have some strong gusty winds from Lincolnton to Hickory. Based on radar, let me do storm relative. And again, I've seen from time to time some little pockmarks, little bits of spin show up in that, but the kind of the bookend to all this is what we've got to watch. The bookend vortex that's driving this is you have your straight line winds coming into Hickory and Newton, and then you have the kind of the rotation part of that, the part that's you know, the spinny part now pretty much well into western Burke County, central western Burke County. So again, like Scotty said, this is not the worst that we've seen. We've seen a lot worse, but this is certainly something that we're going to want to keep an eye on, you know, as we do have this tornado warning out until, where we go, 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
9 o'clock.
Again, I don't see any, I've been perusing through, I don't see anything. And honestly, these radar scans, in my opinion, are getting a little bit more okay. I still want to be in that safe spot. But you know, like we said, we've seen worse. So, Jared, you were talking about Boone, Blowing Rock, but this line is also going to pivot into the Charlotte-Mecklenburg, the Charlotte metro area here soon. Nothing severe warned right now, but we'll have to watch that area too, because there's a little bit more energy to work with in that area. So, but thankfully, it doesn't look as bad right now down that way. So that's good.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did not mean to do that. All right. There's just my beautiful Mac desktop. All right. We did not mean to do that. All right. So I'm just going to get this out of the way a little bit and make sure this keeps updating. It's, yeah, just illustrating kind of the issue here with going into Charlotte, kind of zooming out overall. We look at GSP, and in fact, let me do an even wider view. Fire that up real quick.
I'm going to say that line is booming as it moves into Morganton. So if you live in Morganton, there's probably going to be a pretty big wind gust move through here in just the next little bit. That Boeing segment, as this little meso continues to spin, it's going to bring that Boeing segment into the Morganton area. So if you live in Morganton, be on the lookout for that. as it kind of bows out this way. So just heard a report here in the weather NWS weather chat here. I want to make sure this is going to be continuing damage coming out of upstate. I guarantee we'll probably see a storm survey crew out sometime tomorrow with these thunderstorm reports coming out of the upstate, and that's where the cell came from. So it's got a history of producing some widespread damage. So
yep, and that's where Frank has been trying to chase down some damage. Frank Straight's out there in the field right now. Frank, anything interesting from that you're seeing?
Yes, I have. I have seen a couple of trees down in this area. That was also on the side streets along Highway 290, Moore Duncan Highway, between Moore and the Reedville area. So I did see a couple trees down, but only a couple. And the two that I did see down were pointed in kind of different directions. So it would indicate a possible tornado. A considerable amount of small debris, but only those two trees down that I saw. That may be in addition to the three that were reported down in the LSR that I was investigating, local storm report that stands for, issued by the National Weather Service. So I did see some damage, but nothing that would indicate anything that would cause a major disruption. Just a couple of homeowners that at this point do have a little bit of cleanup to do over the next few days. I did attempt to take some pictures. Unfortunately, the low light conditions didn't really permit that with the cameras I have, just an iPhone and an iPad right now. And so I didn't really get any good shots of it to send along here. So I'll pass things along to you. It looks as though conditions are still pretty nasty. Very impressive swirl there near Morganton and in Scotty's neck of the woods. So I'll let y'all talk about that, and I'll sign off for now.
thank you for that, Frank. And Jared, if you need to go down, I've got it for a little bit. So
yeah, so I'm gonna hand this off to Scotty. He's gonna take over the radar here real quick. Zoom back in. Scotty, take it away. Be right back.
All right. So we've got the radar up here. So control room, if we want to keep it on Jared's screen there, I think he's going to keep radar up. Yep. So he's got the radar up. So we're continuing to watch this tornado warning that continues until 9 o'clock. This is for McDowell, Burke, Avery, and portions of Caldwell County, the northern parts of Burke, McDowell, and Caldwell County. And again, I have not, I don't see anything too ominous right now. I think we're getting more into just the wind threat than a tornado threat. But as we continue to watch the radar in motion there, I am worried a little bit about this little band that's moving into Morganton. Go ahead and share my screen. This little band right here that's moving into Morganton. So if you live in Morganton, we could see a big push of wind here in the next little bit. So we'll continue to monitor that as well. So again, this tornado warning until 9 p.m. But again, it looks more like a wind threat as we continue to monitor. So I'm going to put the radar in motion here. You can kind of see the storm motion and kind of let you look at it for just a second. I need to take a text message right quick. So give me one moment and I will give you an update. All right, so again, this tornado warning continues until 9 p.m. But again, at 8:30, this little meso low that's moving up, we'll go to the rotation here, and it's very elongated there, and that's a good sign because we don't see that that ominous look that we would see on radar. You can see though these wind gusts right here, this little area right here. Now this is a loft, so it's showing 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts. So as it gets to the surface, maybe we're in the line of 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts. But it definitely could be a big push of wind here over the next little bit. So we will continue to monitor that threat. And actually, I can hear the wind in the background here. So that push of wind is moving through, and I'm actually looking out the windows here, and trees are blowing pretty good. So that band that's moving through Morganton definitely pushing that wind through. So that's again, with it being so wet, could bring some trees down. But again, the tornado threat, it doesn't look to be there anymore. It looks very elongated if you look at the NROT. But I think we'll remain in shelter. But I would not be surprised to see this warning maybe canceled early, Jared.
Let's hope so. And as Frank mentioned, I'm just kind of moving back and forth on this guy. That is quite a swirl.
It's like a little low meso low has just developed right on top of us.
It certainly looks that way, doesn't it? And that often can happen with these kinds of things. They start out as tornado warned cells, and then after a while they broaden out and they just keep going. And so this could be an issue all the way up into Virginia. And this could continue to drive that severe weather threat northeastward with time. So
one tree down, wind damaged tree down in the McDowell County area near Dysartsville. So we were watching that rotation pass over Dysartsville, but with just one tree down, that's a good thing that there's only one tree down and not multiple. As that circulation or the rotation at least was passing through that area.
Yeah, I certainly hope it stays that way for sure. So let's take a quick look. It looks like the severe thunderstorm warning has expired. So no severe thunderstorm warning. So we only have the tornado warning left. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take that off. And I'm going to put on the rotation tracks. And what this is going to do, this is kind of give us kind of a history of that's not the track. There's the track. And you can see kind of where you have, this is over the past hour, and you can see kind of the path that this has taken and see where you had some
Jared, I'm
rotation.
The wind is howling right now
Yeah.
at the house. I mean, the rain is pelting off the windows, and if I had my weather flow wind thing out there, I'd be showing some pretty high wind gusts right now. But goodness, I don't know. You may be able to hear it, but
you've got quite a dry slot moving in right over Morganton here. And this is probably some sort of maybe some rear inflow jet. I wouldn't be surprised if GSP reissued a severe thunderstorm warning somewhere out here in the next little bit, because again, we have some it looks like we have a dry slot that's kicked into Morganton, but that's coming with a lot of wind. So that could be a lot of rain-cooled air that could be descending, producing some straight line winds, and that could be feeding into the what looks to be some sort of developing mesolow now.
Dude, I would say, just looking, I would say at least 35 mile per hour wind gusts right now.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Higher than that.
Yeah, that certainly seems sane, and it's got to be interesting to see what the temperatures are doing out there too, because again, it wouldn't surprise me if we were getting some cooler air, transported very quickly to the surface. So let me see here. We have the Morganton Airport here. Went from, and of course the polygon is in the way, so I cannot. So it's 67 to 65. We'll see if that goes down any further. But certainly, there's your current radar view. And again, big swirl here. You still have a tornado warning over here in Burke County, but again, as Scotty mentioned, well, I mean, this is this still could whip something up. Right on the very eastern edge of this polygon, actually. So north of Glen Alpine, northwest of Morganton's getting some pretty strong wind gusts right now. The winds are coming, and the other thing to note that's kind of interesting here is that you have the winds coming out of the east at the Morganton Airport. You have a mesonet station where you have winds basically coming straight out of the west, and that's a fairly recent report as of about 20 minutes ago. But you can see this mesolow really trying to tighten up around north of Morganton. here. And so this is storm relative velocity. Again, we've taken the forward motion out so you can see, so we can see inside the storm and see the rotation. We put on the NROT display again. We've been talking about this a lot. This is our normalized rotation product. This is, fairly elongated, but we do still have a kind of a center of circulation, so to speak, a couple clicks northwest of Morganton here. And again, this is going to run parallel-ish to 64. We're going to want to watch in Collettsville. You're going to want to keep an eye on this one if this continues on track here. Again, we're getting into some higher elevations. We're in some lower populated areas, which is good, but that does not mean that those
power flashes.
Scotty is seeing power flashes.
Power's out now. Power's out across the street.
Power's okay. So we have power outages now from this as it moves, as it moves by Morganton, this tightening meso-low. It looks like we still have Scotty's video, which is fortunate, across his street. So there you go.
Yeah. So I was just had my phone out. I'll post the video on our.
And I think there went Scotty's power. I think that was it. So it looks like Scotty Powell, he's in Morganton right now, and they're getting some very strong winds on the side of this meso-low that's moving through right now. So I'll reset here a little bit. It is 8:38 p.m. I'm Jared Smith with the Carolina Weather Group. We had Scotty Powell out of Morganton. It looks like his power is out. So I'll be taking over the coverage here, and we're going to go as long as we need to. As long as we have a tornado warning in progress, and we will have a tornado warning in progress until about 9 o'clock for central Burke County, getting into Caldwell County and into Avery County. So we have a very broad circulation, a very strong circulation showing up right now. And this is and it's been somewhat broadened out here. But it still could produce some very strong winds on the backside of it, as we've seen from Morganton right now, where, again, we've lost Scotty Powell, we've lost his power here. So I've got the velocity display up here, and taking a look at that, this is not your typical classic type tornado rotation signature. What it looks like is happening is we may have had a very tight circulation broaden out, and it may be developing something called a meso-low. It's a very small area of low pressure. And what's likely happening is that we have a dry slot that has moved up from Morganton to Valdez, up into Lenoir and Gamewell. And what I believe this is going to do is potentially causes some issues with straight line wind gusts. And it certainly seems like that we have that now.
Hey, Jared, it's James.
Hey, James. Yeah, so James, we've lost Scotty.
Yeah, the last thing I heard him saying was power flashes.
Yes,
so
that's correct.
Here's my question to you. Because if I recall, he's on the northeast side of town, right? He's outside of this polygon?
Just outside of it, yeah.
I'm wondering if I should put this in chat to the Weather Service. He's not in the polygon, but power flashes and then the loss of power is peculiar to me.
Well, it's possible that, again, and it's certainly possible that on the backside of this, there could be some very strong wind gusts wrapping around. We have a dry slot that's kind of punching in, and it might be feeding into this. And it certainly looks like that there might be some sort of meso-low trying to develop.
Yeah, I know. I just tweeted that a few minutes ago.
Yeah, and so what I think is happening is you get this dry slot here, and that's rapidly sinking cold air. And that in turn is going to continue to speed up, is going to continue to reinforce the existing circulation and potentially continue to give us some grief. So again, it doesn't have a little bit of that hook look. Again, we have a bit of that hook echo there. It's certainly not your most traditional tornado vortex signature in the world, but we've got, winds outbound, the reds, winds inbound in the greens, and you do have a little confluence of that right just north of Highway 64, about ready to cross the Burke and Caldwell line. we'll go to our normalized rotation product. This helps us see this a little bit better as far as like where the spin is happening. Again, this shows a lot of wind shear here. So when it gets stretched out like that, it's certainly and broadened. Not something that we look for necessarily in a very strong tornado, but again, it is possible that something could briefly spin up. It is possible that something could, come down and come right back up. That certainly can happen, and that can happen in the course of a radar scan. And I think it's worth noting that as we start getting further and further away from the radar here, that we're going to have less and less of a good look at it. We're going to be going into kind of no man's land when it comes to radar. This is something that's been very well documented over the years. And so, we're going to run into some trouble with that. So I want people to be aware that we're going to do our best here to try and pinpoint things, but understand that we're going to need to be broad on this. And you need to paint a broad brush because, because we're not seeing near the ground. We are increasingly seeing higher and higher into the storm. Even with the new radar angle that was implemented at GSP about a year or so ago now, we're still not quite there. So Morganton is back in the heavy rain. It looks like, it certainly seems like that, I don't think, and I will say this, and it'll be interesting to see what Greenville does, what GSP does. I don't think that if there's a risk of a tornado, I think that it may be a little right along the eastern edge of that polygon now, and
where Scotty's house is.
Right, and it's entirely possible that it's entirely possible that we may just get a whole lot of heavy rain and strong winds in Collettsville. But Gamewell, I'd watch out for this. Lenore, I'd watch out for this. You have that dry slot in there right now. But again, this has shown a tendency to want to jog eastward, which we would expect. Kind of deviate to the right of the mean flow, and that is the winds are out of the southwest, turns a little, and so southwest and northeast turns a little more north, a little more east of north, and there's your deviant motion, and that is an indication that something might be trying to tighten up a little bit. And so again, we'll keep an eye on that. Certainly not the best looking storm I've ever seen.
Jared, I'm going to go ahead and relay what Scotty is texting us.
Okay.
Scotty's in the dark without power right now.
Yes.
I think we just had a tornado. Are his words at his home in northeastern Morganton, which is outside the polygon. Now, wind is wind, and it's hard to tell at night, rain-wrapped, what is a tornado and what is straight-line winds. But I think that's enough for us to tell folks that you need to seek shelter from some wind threat, as we've been saying, in Morganton and Gamewell, whether it's in this polygon or not.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And, this is interesting. We're now seeing that wind. I've been watching the wind, James, at the Morganton airport. And we're now seeing that wind. This is definitely showing some right deviant motion now. It's the trend is becoming pretty well established, but we're getting reports fairly frequently from this. We had the wind start out kind of calm, and then out of the east, and then now very sharply out of the southeast. So that's that circulation. That is the mesolow circulation, or whatever this is. Certainly seems like we'll be interested to hear what Scotty says, when it was safe out there to start maybe surveying any potential damage. Hopefully.
Scotty's house, I'm looking at your screen. Scotty's house is due north of the word Morganton, just across the river.
Got it.
Right off of 64.
Got it. Okay. So
I don't want to tell. I don't want to tell people exactly where Scotty's house is, but it's.
Yeah, we want to be polite.
It's within it's just north of downtown Morganton.
Yeah, and I've got the velocity view up here, and again, we did see did see some pretty strong winds, and it certainly did look like
he's right where those winds are colliding, whether they're rotating or they're straight.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, that's certainly a sign of at least a wind shift, um, and and so that's and I got to tell you, I think that says I'm also, let me we got and again we have two areas of circulation. We have one that is just south of Collettsville now, and then we have the second one. It looks a little weaker on this view, but it's just approaching Gamewell. And what we know about this circulation is that it at least has knocked out power.
Yeah.
And so we know that it has at least caused that. And so, with that in mind, folks, like, we need, there's a severe thunderstorm warning polygon. Good. So GSP has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for Gamewell, for Lenore. This is just south of Blowing Rock. Let's get some more. Cedar Rock, Yadkin Valley. So there's a new severe thunderstorm warning out. Note they did not issue a tornado warning. It does look like that they are starting to see it. Again, I don't want to speak for them, but my analysis of the data certainly seems that the tornado threat may be decreasing somewhat, and this may be becoming much more of a straight line wind threat.
Right.
So again, we have the severe thunderstorm warning for Caldwell until 9:30, 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts possible. And again, some spots that GSP is calling out here: Lenore, Gamewell, Blowing Rock in Caldwell County, Cedar Rock, Edgemont, Kings Creek, Globe, Collettsville, Patterson, and Kajaz Mountain. I probably butchered that. I'm not from the Piedmont and foothills of North Carolina. So if I butchered that, my apologies to you. So again, we do have a tornado warning here. This is going to go until 9 o'clock, and we'll see what they do with this. But
we should tell
right
people.
now,
we should tell people that a severe thunderstorm warning is for damaging wind.
yes.
Wind is wind, whether it's in a column and it's rotating or it's straight line. So you should still, based on what we know, this isn't just like, it's a severe thunderstorm, like whatever. Like, you should treat this as a threatening storm and move to safety. Move inside.
Yeah, absolutely right. And again, and it looks like we're starting to see maybe a little bit of a weakening in the echo again, where this could be tightening up once more. So again, Collettsville, you're not out of a tornado warning yet. You still have a tornado warning in Collettsville for the next 11 minutes. So I'd keep an eye on this. Gamewell, looks like if there's going to be anything, it looks like you're going to get straight line winds. The straight line winds up 64 into Lenore, and then this is going to go into and then this is going to become a problem for the 321 corridor. To see that the big batch of strong reflectivity just to the west of the 321 corridor there, heading up towards Blowing Rock right now. So again, that damaging wind threat is going to jump further up as time goes, but we're starting to see in the reflectivity again, maybe a little bit of a sign that there could be, we're seeing that meso low. That could be tightening up. And again, I got to tell you, south of Collettsville and just to west of Gamewell, I'm becoming increasingly concerned about this area right here. This is just to the northwest of 64 in the severe thunderstorm warning polygon. It's worth noting it's just outside the official tornado warning polygon, but again, when we're so high up, that tornado could be displaced several miles in either direction underneath the mesocyclone. So I think that's the other thing too. Radar is good. It gives us an idea of what's going on, but it's not 100% precision, especially at this range, and especially as we get further away from the Greer, South Carolina radar here.
We've got people in the comments saying it too. This is radar no man land.
We've been saying that, and it is increasingly no man's land. You can see that in the resolution.
Have we talked about what causes that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, just that the beam is getting too high up, way too far away from ground truth. It would be like, somebody in an airplane trying to look into your backyard and tell you what's happening at the surface level. James Brierton here in Charlotte. That's Jared Smith in Charleston, South Carolina. You're watching continued severe weather coverage from the Carolina Weather Group and the Carolina Weather Net. Jared, this is the only game in town right now, right? So lots of us are experiencing or are awaiting this line of strong thunderstorms. It's going to be here to me in Charlotte soon. but this is the only warning, and we expect the tornado warning to disappear, and we suspect the severe thunderstorm warning will go until, let's see, what time would that be? I keep grabbing my wrong mouse. 9:30. 9:30 for the threat of 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail. But we're so zoomed in on this one spot because this is where the active warnings are. I think that line, even coming into Charlotte there, based on your radar, I feel way better about that now than I did an hour ago.
Yeah, certainly. And again, this is not, again, most of the energy is concentrated right around this low, and it's going to swing through with some gusty winds. You're not going to get away scot-free with some gusty winds. You might have some branches down. You might get some twigs blown around. You probably might see a pollen cloud too. Who knows?
I wonder if Duke Energy is ready to tell us.
Yeah,
now, I don't know exactly who has Duke Energy and who doesn't have Duke Energy up there.
Yeah.
Do we talk? So that meso low, and mind you, I stepped away for a minute, so if I'm repeating myself, it's just a refresher. But that meso low, we were talking about how the whole storm system seemed to be rotating around a center point, a low, just like when you watch a hurricane on satellite or radar and it spins and it has that eye. Meso meaning really tiny, really small scale. It was doing that. It was rotating in the atmosphere, the whole thing. Which I think that circle now, yeah, Jared's got it on the screen there. It slides just to the west of the Morganton word, just the left there, and then the circle now is over Gamewell.
Right.
Not to be confused with when we're tracking like a tornadic rotation embedded inside of a thunderstorm. This is like the whole system is just like orbiting itself.
Yeah, it's a bookend vortex. However, all that being said, you can still get tornadoes out of this, and they can happen with the moment's notice. We've been watching this for a couple scans now. Just looking at velocity, it's just to the west of Gamewell here. There is some hint of a little tighter rotation here. We'll put on the normalized rotation product. Doesn't look too bad. Again, we have a pretty elongated area of rotation of wind shear. But again, I think the thing to note here is that, when you're dealing with these bookend vortices, sometimes you can get something that pops down and pops right back up. So don't want people to let their guard down here. We do have a weak echoes here.
It's like when the tornado warning came through Rutherfordton before, and I'm not faulting the weather service. It's just the nature of the environment. The warning came down, and we were back into a warning again at 6 minutes later.
Yep.
Power outages, by the way, this is just Duke. So if there's another provider in the area, this doesn't account for them. But right now, and I would expect this to go up, Burke has 639 customers without power. So customers being a residence or a single business, with an estimated restoration of 1:15 a.m. And Caldwell, this is interesting to me, Jared, Caldwell, which is now just getting into the action, has 710 with a 1 a.m. restoration. So collectively, between those two counties, we've got 1,000, and I think Caldwell's still got more time to play here.
Yeah, they've definitely got a little more time. And again, Caldwell was they were in that dry slot that we were talking about. That dry slot is now rotated through Hickory.
Was it windy? Was it windy in the dry slot?
Can't tell when there's no reflectivity to no scatterers to bounce back.
Yeah.
So we'll have to. My guess is that there probably was some pretty decently gusty winds, based on what Scotty was telling me too, because he was in that for a few minutes. There are probably some pretty decently gusty winds. Like, again, this is all flowing into this circulation.
Take a look at the power outages. I'm just zooming in a little bit right now. I know they're not on the screen. They are scattered but clustered, so it's not like widespread. Like downtown Morganton right now is not reporting a Duke Energy outage, but we've got one along Bost Road. That's a section. We've got another one up near Oak Hill, and then Caldwell's got a decently sized one just outside of Whitnall, and a little in their downtown. Actually, this is interesting. So just adjacent to Caldwell Memorial Hospital, there's a power outage. So, of course, a hospital hopefully would have backup generators if they were even involved in this. I can't say that they are, but it's like one straight over. So that's interesting. Now, what's also interesting is I don't see Scotty's outage on here yet. So we know that there are more updates to come to this map.
More than likely. More than likely for sure. So again, I was reading over.
I'm hearing lots of NWS chat in my ear, but I'm
yes
not hearing. I'm not hearing the tornado sound. So we have NWS chat, National Weather Service chat, where the media and storm spotters and emergency management and the National Weather Service are in it. And when anyone mentions the word tornado, it makes a loud, like, EAS sound. I'm hearing lots of new messages, which is a very pleasant ding, but I'm not hearing the blaring alarm.
Yeah, we don't like the blaring alarm. We want to do everything we can to not have the blaring alarm. We hopefully the only other time that we hear the blaring alarm is for GSP to cancel the tornado warning.
And you know what? You just said GSP, and I want to make sure that you and everyone else know, sooner or later we're going to change hands here. We're going to end up in Roanoke, Blacksburg.
Yep.
So we've got a jurisdiction change coming up. I want to say by the time we get to Boone and Avery County there. Yeah, because Roanoke's already issued an aerial flood advisory for Ash and Watauga until 11 o'clock. Flood advisory meaning it's raining a lot, and we're starting to see the pooling of water. It's not on Jared's map because it's just an advisory, in case you're looking for it on the screen.
Yeah, we're not going to have it. Yeah, that we're going to keep this map very focused on the severe weather threat, but understand that flooding is dangerous, especially at night. If you come across a flooded road, turn around, don't drown.
Please.
Sage advice. Got to do it. You got to keep yourself safe. It's not worth it. And especially as you start getting into these higher elevations, you're going to start seeing issues with, potential. If you get enough flooding, you can see, roads wash out. You can see all sorts of problems. So
we had a mudslide reported via MPing earlier today. I tweeted about it because I had never actually seen. I didn't know you could report a mudslide via MPing, and if that's a thing you can do, I would suspect we're going to have more of them.
Yeah, we'll see. I hope not, but we got to be ready for that. So let's talk a little bit about, again, we have this tornado warning. It's about to expire. I wanted to, kind of go through it real quick and say that, if you're in Morganton, if you're in Salem, I think your severe weather threat is over. This is now well to your north, Valdez, Sawmills, Granite Falls. You probably got some heavy rain here, but the severe weather threat, the danger is to your north now. And so again, I don't. I think GSP is just going to just let this one ride out. And
people at GSP are also human, and they're like, "Please, Roanoke, this is yours now. Your turn." Because GSP, they've been under the gun since 3-4 o'clock.
With this very storm, yeah. I mean, that's the thing that that we've been dealing with. So with this very storm, so yeah. So again, we have, we do still have the formal tornado warning here. I would say that, based on the best available data that I have, and again, we're getting into an area, you see this purple here. This is Purple Haze, and no, it's not a Jimi Hendrix song. It's just pretty much.
It's also not a Prince song. It's also not Purple Rain.
Yeah, not Purple Rain. It's it's just a pain. And there goes the tornado warning has expired.
Scotty Powell is telling us numerous trees down Highway 181 and Bowman Avenue, Oak Hill community.
Okay.
So that's back in Morganton-ish.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. Good to know. So again, we're starting to get those damage reports in. Scotty was very much, as it turns out, very much in the epicenter of it. Before we lost him, before we lost his feed, he had reports of power flashes and all sorts of gnarliness, and then he lost power about a couple minutes after that. So again, we're going to be dealing with we're going to be interesting to see what the trail of damage ultimately looks like here. But again, I think the one thing to say is that, while we don't have any tornado warnings on the board anymore, James, I think I still want to stay with this for the short term because, again, this is because it's
proven to us that it just keeps cycling.
Yeah. Well, one, it keeps cycling, but two, this has been doing damage. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
Can I talk about that damage for a second?
Yeah, go for it.
And bear with me.
Yeah, that'll give me a check. I'm gonna take a look at a couple things.
Grab a drink. We talked a little bit earlier in the coverage tonight. The first priority for the National Weather Service is always to issue warnings, and then kind of second to that is they will do these verified storm reports. So they take storm reports that you send in via Twitter, that emergency management puts in, or whoever it may be, and they put them out. So they're on a little bit of a delay, right? So like Scotty just told us he has trees down, and we just told the Weather Service, and we'll find out whether or not they consider that verified and it makes the report. But here's the kind of the line I want to show you. So you can see, starting with Oconee County in upstate South Carolina, this one is still the one that is most impressive to me. This is at 5:55, 2100. Car flipped over, structural damage to a CVS pharmacy on Blue Ridge Drive, or Blue Ridge Boulevard. And we also know that a nearby radio transmitter was bent in half. So that's just outside of Seneca. That kind of kicks off this line that then makes its way into Greenville. Fire department reporting numerous trees down. Pretty close to the downtown area, right, of Greenville here. Pretty populated area. Then we got 2 reports. This is where Frank Strait was earlier, and this is where we joined coverage when the tornado warning kicked in. It was about here, near Moore, near Reedville. Numerous uprooted trees, Highway 417 between Highway 290 and Reedville Road, and reports of parts of a roof blown off a house on Moore Duncan Highway. And then, so again, this is where our coverage starts. Now, at this point, the lines, this cell starts moving north. We got another report near Boiling Springs, where trees snapped there, intersection of Asheville Highway and Pishka Church Road. And then, as it crossed the border, that's about the time we lost it on radar and we lost some ground truth, but then it got kicking again as it crossed US 74. And just outside of Forest City here near Ellenboro, report top of a large tree ripped off at the intersection of Pinehurst Road and Business 74. And then, of course, that brings you right into the game that we're playing now, whereas this came into Burke County. This is actually still parts of McDowell County here, emergency management, tree down on Pineville Church Road. And then we had, actually, I can show you. Here's the county line, and here were the tornado warnings. These are archival. None of these are active right now in terms of tornado warnings. But you can see kind of right exactly where some of this action was over the past couple hours or so. And now we're getting reports from our own Scotty Powell up there that he's got trees down just on the north side of town. If the Weather Service takes what we're feeding them and verifies it, which is on them to decide whether or not they want to do that, Scotty would be just north of that river there. I'm just realizing you can't actually see my mouse cursor. So we'll see what exactly they decide to do, Jared, here shortly. But we've relayed that report to them. And we'll find out. So, Jin, there's got to be a better radar in no man's land. We can do anything. We need better radar coverage in the Carolinas. The Charlotte metropolitan area where I live comes to mind so often because of its pure population density as an area that has inadequate radar coverage. And then as we get up into this area, as you get up into Hickory, up into Morganton, you just end up in this area where it's too far away from the other radars. The radars are in Greenville, Spartanburg, South Carolina. They're in Raleigh, North Carolina. They're in Roanoke, Blacksburg, Virginia, and they're in Columbia, South Carolina. I mean, at a certain point, I guess you end up with one from Tennessee, but not in any location that I've ever actually really used and been helpful other than to see on the other side of the mountains. What is that? That's Knoxville.
Right.
So that's not helping us solve this problem.
It isn't.
Some mountains in the way there, Jared.
Yeah, we're going to be, over time, looks like we're going to be handing off to the KFCX radar out of Blacksburg.
Yes.
And so what we're looking at, I've got this up on another computer over here. I'm not going to get away.
No tornado warnings right now, folks. It is 9:05 Saturday, April 10th, 2021.
No tornado warnings right now. The only thing that we have is a severe thunderstorm warning from the storm that we know is capable of doing damage. Looks like it's moving a little north of Lenore now, and I'm gonna just let's go back to the GSP radar real quick. And again, we're really not seeing much on this view. What I'm going to try and do is I'm looking at it on another computer, and I still see a broad mesocyclone aloft, and that would make sense if we are dealing with a little meso-low, a little bookend vortex kind of deal. That would make sense. A little broad rotation aloft. So that is making sense. We're able to cut through the purple haze a little bit looking from Blacksburg. But again, keeping in mind that the data from Blacksburg, we're hitting in 12,000 feet.
Yeah, we haven't really come into that adequate location yet.
Yeah.
I will say, while we've been talking, the Weather Service did go ahead and they added Scotty Powell's storm report to the official collection of storm reports for today. So thank you, Scotty. He can't hear us. He's without power. Let me turn these warnings back off so I don't give anybody the false impression. And then we also get this one. This is actually way closer to Marion than I thought.
Mm-hmm.
This one here is damage to a metal roof and broken chimney on home in the Mud Creek area. And then this is kind of, is this Scotty's? Even that feels not where I thought it was going to be.
Well, oh, look, yep, looks like he's back. So
Scotty Powell?
Yes, I'm here. Y'all, I'm going to be honest with you. I've chased tornadoes, but I don't think I've ever experienced one really close. And as I was talking to Jared, and I said power flashes, and the power was out across the street, and then I think you guys lost me. I've never heard a roar, and I've never heard trees snapping as much as I did during that period of time. I'm getting ready to go out. The rain's starting to slack off a little bit. Where I was hearing all the trees snapping and all of that is just across the street from my house. There's Catawba Meadows Baseball Park. So I'm going to go check out that area because I feel like if there was any tornado, that A is where I saw the power flash. And then maybe as the rear flake downdraft came through is when we heard all the trees crashing. I'm going to go check it out, and I've got Zoom on my phone, so we'll report from there. But
we'll stay on, Scotty.
Messages, people asking me, "Hey, are you okay?" I'm fine. I'm alive. I'm here.
That's how we felt, Scotty.
But that was crazy.
I'm not even supposed to be sitting here right now, but watching you on the TV downstairs screaming power flashes and then we lost you is a little scary.
Yeah, that was the scariest. That's I don't really get nervous or scared with storms, but this one's a little bit different. So I want to go see what's going on. My uncle called me. He lives in Oak Hill, and they've got numerous trees down up there. So,
is that the report we relayed? Because that's an official storm report now.
That was, yeah.
Well, congrats, your name's on it because I thought I was like, maybe this is where Scotty lives.
No, that was my uncle. He called and said they've got numerous trees down at their house, not on their house, but at their house. So I'm going to go see what I can see. So I'll pop back on here in a little bit.
Right,
but I am okay.
We'll sit tight until you do that.
All right.
Folks in comments are also very happy that you're okay.
Well, good. Thank you. I'm glad. I'm glad we're good too. So maybe next time I'll stay in that. Even if I'm not in the polygon, maybe I'll stay in the basement a little bit longer. So I thought when the polygon was gone, we'd be okay. But
when the weatherman says he should have stayed in his safe place longer, there's a lesson for all of us.
Yeah. That's Jared, we were talking about that Bowen segment, and then all heck broke loose. So.
Yeah, and that sounds about right. And again, obviously we're losing a little definition on this as we get this a little further north and kind of into Watauga County here. But again, some very heavy rain. I think that's the other thing that we've been talking about. It looks like we got some aerial flood advisories now out as well. So
I just want to pick up one last thing that Scotty said, that he wished he had stayed in his polygon, in his safe place longer, even though he wasn't in the polygon. I have had that exact experience here in Charlotte where I'm like, I'm not in the polygon. I'm really close to the edge of the polygon. The polygon is the National Weather Service's humans' best guess. The atmosphere is going to do whatever it wants to do. And sometimes the tornado wobbles. Sometimes the radar screws up and it puts the pixels in the wrong place. And you're getting a false impression when you're trying to get street level on exactly where it is. And so if you're just ever unsure of whether or not you should be in your safe place, go to your safe place. I've done it where I just have gone there even though I'm borderline not sure really whether this is a threat to me, because I would rather crawl underneath the stairs and not need to be there than wish I was there.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
And rant.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you 100%, man. Your situation better than anybody. You know your own situation. You know what we believe in you. That what to do for your own safety. And so, we're here to give you a heads up on these things, but just no skin off of anybody's back if you stay in that safe place a little bit longer.
We do have no tornado warnings right now, which is why we're going off on the commentary side. We do have that severe thunderstorm warning for the threat of more damaging winds, which we don't want to dismiss. That goes until 9:30 for Caldwell County. That's the only warning. We do have heavy rain moving into Statesville. We have heavy rain that I'm sure will be pattering here on my windows in South Charlotte at any moment. Mm-hmm. I presume that black box below us is Scotty?
I think so.
So yes, this is what it looks like outside my house. It's complete dark.
No power, right?
There's no power on. It's funny. On the other side of the street is maintained by City of Morganton. My side is maintained by Duke Energy.
Okay, we were wondering
we
that.
lost power. We lost power, but the city side is still out of power. We've regained ours. So
wow.
I'm getting ready to get in my vehicle. So I'm going to take my screen off, but we're going to go right around for just seconds. If you guys are still on,
we're still here.
See if we can find some damage.
Jackie says stay safe, which was also us. Scotty, be careful in the dark. Look for down wires. Look for down trees. If there's water on the roadway, just turn around.
We will do it.
I suppose we're just going to stay here and see what happens.
Yeah, let's hang on to this a little bit longer because I mean we're gonna be crossing CWA lines here.
Yes,
pretty soon.
We're gonna be going into Roanoke.
So we're gonna keep an
jurisdiction,
eye on,
folks. Jurisdiction.
Yeah. CWA county warning area. That's
I'm just here to translate the jargon.
Yeah, we appreciate James as our jargon.
Just seltzer, by the way. Just seltzer.
Same, to be clear. I don't know why it's keying that out. That's really funny.
That is kind of funny. Yeah. So
anyway.
what's funny when we change jurisdictions sometimes, to be blunt. Yes, everyone plays by the same rule book, but sometimes a recipe can be read more than one way. For example, when we go from Greenville, Spartanburg into Raleigh, sometimes the polygons just magically get bigger. I don't actually know some of the trends of Roanoke because they don't have a ton of counties in the Carolinas. They have those handful up there along the border with Virginia. So I'll just be curious to see how they treat this. We know how GSP's been treating it. They've been the only office tracking this storm since its origin.
Yeah, and I bet they're very happy to be getting rid of it.
We are very thankful to them, by the way. Yeah. It is a very difficult job, and we'll note it was really close to their office.
Mm-hmm.
It was really close, and I don't know where those people live. It's very possible. We've seen this just recently with James Spann in Birmingham, where you live in these communities. It's very possible that they know people or lived in any of these areas that were under the gun tonight.
Absolutely. I mean, they live and work in the same community, and
look at Scotty. Scotty didn't think he'd be driving around in the dark right now.
No, but here we are. Another marginal risk day, James.
Right? This is a tier 1 out of 5, folks. I know their outlooks and not forecast, and we can go on to that whole, but there seems to be an unscientific trend here. Marginal in the Carolinas. Don't let your guard down.
Yeah, I mean, you get just one, and it makes for a busy day.
This is just one, right?
And it's just one. Again, those Storm Prediction Center outlooks are often talking about how widespread. It takes into two things into account: the probabilities of a severe weather event happening within 25 miles of a point, how widespread it is, and then how intense it is. We've had probably weak tornadoes. We've probably had sporadic straight line winds. As James has shown you, there's a few damage reports along the track.
That one in Oconee County, man.
Yeah,
a car flipped over. We don't get that.
Yeah. So all this to say is that marginal risk means, generally speaking, that the chances are low. The chances that any one person is going to see severe weather is low.
Jackie in Spartanburg, nothing for you, or excuse me, in Sparta, nothing for you to worry about right now. I know you have heavy winds, don't go outside and fly a kite with a key on it, but there's no tornado warnings right now, and the only severe thunderstorm warning we have is Caldwell County. So they've got some damaging wind threat there, but Sparta itself.
And honestly, I would
just hang out inside. You're fine.
Yeah, I agree with that. And again, getting a look at, just cycling through the radar products a little bit, I think the damaging wind threat is going to exit Caldwell County here very shortly. And,
We think.
ultimately, it looks to be, yeah, I mean, we're pretty close to that at this point.
You know what? It's moving into, I'm just looking at the screen behind you, and I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off, Jared.
Oh, you're fine.
We got cameras up there from our friends at Resort Cams, right? So let's see what we got. We've got Boone. Let's go to Boone. It's going to take a second to load. Here comes Boone. Again, no warnings here, but we're looking for signs of heavy rain, wind. Is the camera bouncing? What's our visibility? Here's Boone. Let's go to Blowing Rock. Blowing Rock's okay. Let's try. This is App State from WeatherStem. App State from WeatherStem. Okay, cool. I think we've got Jefferson.
Guys, we've got.
Go ahead, Scotty.
We've got power line down here across the road.
All right, Scotty, where are you?
This is about a half a mile from my house.
So just north of Morganton.
Yeah, this is Highway 18. They're telling me I can drive over it. But right here, you can kind of see this power line. The top of it has been snapped off. So that line, I guess, is down. There's numerous trees stripped off here, guys. This had to be a tornado. Had to be a tornado. If you want to relay on Highway 18 North at the Catawba River Bridge, Morganton, power lines and trees, tops of trees just split off.
What was the?
They did allow me to drive over it, but that I knew I heard crackling, and I didn't have to go far from my house.
Highway 18 North, Morganton, Catawba River Bridge.
Yes, and if you can see numerous emergency crews up here. We've got, I don't know if it's just a power. We've got roads blocked. Power line, we got an accident here. Major accident from looks like where the power has been out here. This may have just happened here. So please remember how to treat these intersections with no power as four-way stops. Thank you, sir. So a major accident here at the intersection of Highway 18 and Drive. No power. These two cars just hit each other. It's very dark, so they may have not even seen each other.
If you're just joining us, that's the voice of Scotty Powell, live from Burke County, North Carolina, in severe weather aftermath. He's joining us via Zoom as he is carefully driving here. We hope.
Yeah, I've got my phone on one of those holder devices. So.
Okay, good. It's very dark where we are. Scotty was telling us a moment ago that city power is still out where he is north of Morganton, north of downtown in Burke County. Duke Energy in his area has come back on, but he was just telling us Highway 18 North in Morganton, Catawba River Bridge, tops of trees snapped. You saw Scotty drive over that power line in the road, which I guess must be off.
I wasn't too sure about it, but they motioned me it was okay. It was power officials.
They must have turned it off then. Yeah. I would hope.
Here's more trees down here on Kirksey Drive. Again, this is that area where I heard those crashing sounds and the roar and the power flash. So it all kind of lines up now. It's very dark. So I don't know if these are crisscrossing trees or whatever, but I can't say it was a tornado, but there's a lot of wind damage.
Right, wind is wind, so it's some sort of wind damage.
I'm going to go down here.
Scotty, someone wants to know in the comments. I don't know the answer. Is this near the power station, the Catawba power station?
Go ahead. No, that would be no.
Okay.
It's not. So I'm here in the Catawba Meadows Park. This is a baseball complex, and this is kind of where I heard the trees. It's very dark. There's no power here, so I've got to drive fairly slowly here.
Please.
But this is kind of where piqued my interest, where there could be some trees down. That's a lot of leaf litter on the roads.
Scotty's using what bandwidth is available to him via cellular, and He's on a little bit of a delay, so you're going to hear Jared and I be very limited with our questions back to him because we kept stepping on each other there. So we're just going to kind of let Scotty narrate us through this. We have no other tornado warnings to worry about right now, and you can see just at the bottom of your screen that severe thunderstorm warning for Caldwell County for the next 9 minutes. Scotty Powell is driving around Burke County, North Carolina, just north of Morganton, doing some storm assessment. Scotty, as is safe, we'll let you kind of just narrate from here.
Yeah, so I am in the Catawba Meadows complex. I don't see any tree damage, but the power's out here, so I've just got the help with my headlights, so that's about it. I don't see anything that is of particular interest. I will say I've been pushing our page out, and a lot of our followers live here in Morganton. Please, I just saw. I didn't see it, but I saw the aftermath of a serious car accident of a car being T-boned because of the power is out at these stoplights, and so please make sure to stop at those. You make your travels out. So I want to head up towards the Oak Hill community. I heard of the damage up there, so I'll continue to let you know what I see. Then I'll kind of circle back to where I live, and that's the kind of vicinity that I was concerned about the damage.
Okay.
But again, there where I live, about a half a mile from my house is the Catawba River Bridge. Please don't stop me. I'm kind of giving you where I live at. But...
Hey, Scotty, I'm going to jump in because the Weather Service has a question for you. Let me know when you're back with us.
Okay. Yeah, I'm ready. Hey.
Is NC 18 the same as US 64 North?
Yes, yes, they coexist.
Okay.
It's also known as Lenore Road. Has three different names, but NC 1864. That is correct.
Okay, I'll let them know.
So I am now here on Highway 181. The power is up, it's working. So I feel like where I live at, going up towards Oak Hill, it's kind of that zone that really saw the damage. So we'll see what's going on through here. But again, no particular damage here. Just outside of downtown Morganton, if you're going up 181, but it's definitely some damage where I live there on Highway 1864. Again, I'm not sure. You may lose me for a little bit because the internet, the signal kind of gets a little sketchy where I'm at. So just bear with me if that happens.
Of course. And Jared and I are still here. We have Go ahead.
Travel up 81, all power is on here. So it seems to be that localized area. You know, when I seen that Bowen segment, if it was more widespread power outages, I would think it was more straight line winds, but with it being that localized area, it kind of has me a little bit in question. So we'll see what happens with that. And again, it's dark, so you can't really tell. There may be several trees down where I'm at currently, but I can't see them.
Yeah, please do be careful. Question from Trey: how's Guilford County looking? No warnings right now for Guilford County. Nothing in Greensboro. You're gonna potentially get this line of heavy rain, maybe a little thunder to roll through, but we're not really expecting any significant severe weather threat in that area. Jared, you still have the radar up behind you. Are we still getting a little bit of a meso-low rotation with that? Am I seeing a dry slot there in the middle still?
Yeah, a little bit, but again, like, and admittedly, it's going to be hard to see right now because again, we're kind of in between two radars. And so let me get the mosaic here. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't look as well defined as it did before.
Yeah.
But again, you know, I think that the thing to keep in mind is that, you know, we certainly, it seems like we've had damage. It certainly seems like that these storms, they may be, you know, I am hoping based on, you know, just some of the mosaics that I've seen coming through that they're starting to weaken a little bit now that we're losing the heating of the day. I think it's also worth pointing out to our viewers across the Carolinas that really the main threat of severe weather, the main threat for severe weather for the rest of the evening is going to be roughly in northwestern North Carolina into Virginia.
Which aligns, by the way, with the updated Storm Protection Center outlook.
Yes,
if I punch that up, it's right here. This is
basic,
updated.
Yeah, that's basically what I was saying. That's basically what I was calling out here. I can pull that here, actually, right here in Earth. So again,
which is scaled down from earlier today, folks. When we started the day, it was literally all the Carolinas was in that marginal threat.
Yeah. So here's your threat again. Isolated severe weather possible in this area here in the darker shade. Let me go back to. I didn't realize that I had my experimental color scheme there. So apologies to everybody in the WASIS group on Facebook for not being consistent. But that marginal risk does exist here. Again, that's the Storm Prediction Center outlook. The severe weather threat should be diminishing greatly, actually, to the south of that. I'm waiting to see what they do with the severe thunderstorm warning. Again, the MO has been to let these ride. However, the core of these storms has been moving into Virginia pretty much for quite some time now. We've not seen any downstream warnings, which is good. Certainly indicates that the thinking is that the damaging wind threat is decreasing with time as these storms get into further north towards Sparta, and then across the border into Virginia near Galax and Marion and Wytheville. So again, we'll pan down a little bit too. We still have a kind of a broken line of storms. Roughly from North Wilkesboro just into the east of the Charlotte metro. We do have one somewhat stronger storm approaching Camden, South Carolina. This is on the southern end of this, and again, taking a look at that, it's not, it's nothing too crazy. Probably some heavy rain. Not seeing any signs of any lightning with this. In fact, all the lightning is basically offshore. All the lightning is over the Atlantic, over the Gulf Stream, where another round of thunderstorms is re-intensifying. But we could still see, but Camden, be on the lookout for, in and around Camden, maybe getting into McBee, Hartsville, maybe down the road, maybe Kershaw, the town of Kershaw. Could see this kick up a little bit, kick up some gusty winds and some heavy rain, but I don't think that we have really much of a concern right now of a severe weather threat. Again, as we lose instability and the energy lifts out, that severe risk will continue to drop overnight. So that is good. We're not going to be dealing with much more nocturnal severe weather issues. Obviously, we'll keep an eye on it still. And when we still have this warning going for the next few minutes, let's see, we still have this warning for Caldwell in North Carolina, but again, it looks like that is really starting to lift out. Bulk of the activity now moving into Wilkes County and Allegheny County with a line, and it's gone. So it's 9:30. All warnings are off the board. No severe weather warnings in effect anywhere in the Carolinas. We'll see how long that lasts. Hopefully that lasts all night. Hopefully it lasts forever. But as you can see, kind of zooming out a little bit, and I'll take the county names off so we can kind of declutter this view a little bit. But looking from Greenville, we still have a fair, decent, broken line of storms, bringing some weather into the northern parts of the Midlands of South Carolina. And
and to clarify for Jackie in the comments, because we talked about Sparta earlier, Jackie, you're going to get a good thunderstorm. It's not severe. It doesn't currently carry the threat for damaging wind. Doesn't carry a threat for damaging hail. Is it going to put on a good show for you? Sure, but it's perfectly safe to observe from the comfort of your home.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Scotty.
I'm on 181 now. Traffic is completely stopped. Looks like we've got, this is that area I was telling you about, the trees down on 181. So traffic has come to a stop here. So one lane at a time. But I'm figuring we're probably getting into some more storm damage here in the Oak Hill community. Once I get closer, I'll give you a better idea. But we are stopped right now.
Scotty, can you do me a favor? Do you have Spotter Network?
I do, but I don't have it activated.
Maybe you could just drop a pin.
Yeah, I'd like to see, because what we can do is we can plot spotter locations on the map, and I would be very it might be helpful to see your beacon. It's going to show everybody else's beacon too, but it would be interesting if we could see your beacon as you move through these areas. And if not, no big deal. And it's certainly nothing that you have to do.
Well, luckily the area he's coming into, we already have an LSR for. Go ahead, Scotty.
Yeah, I was going to say it should be on. So on radar scope, it's showing me at that LSR for the damage. So.
Cool. I'll find you.
He's going to be in that Oak community.
Yeah, the Oak Hill community. And so if you kind of look on the map, where my house is honestly, it's probably, as the crow flies, maybe 5 miles to the west. And it's kind of this little area where we're seeing this damage at. So that's kind of where that meso low wrapped up. So I'm not sure, I just know there's a lot of damage. We'll see if the Weather Service determines if it was straight line or maybe a touchdown. But it's kind of this area between Highway 18 there near the Catawba River up into the Oak Hill community. So do you guys see my spotter network on yet?
I think it's still waiting for it to refresh.
As long as we can give people, Jared, on that map an idea of where Scotty is.
Yeah, let me
find Morganton and go just north.
Yeah, be between you look at Morganton or Glen Alpine and just look to the north of it.
Yeah, he's in that area, generally speaking.
Yeah.
If you've got LSRs, he's at that LSR, the local storm report.
I think that there were LSRs, but they expire off the map pretty fast.
Yeah, you was
on this software. So
all right, well, I put Scotty back in the triple box. His video keeps coming in and out, folks. Just in case you're not seeing him, that's why. We're just kind of in a line of traffic here, waiting to find out why.
How about Jared? You're talking about the temperature drop. The temperature is back into it's 57 right now, so pretty big temperature drop too. Yeah,
that mixed down some pretty cold air, and that denser, drier air is that descends and can cause straight line wind damage, and it certainly seems to be that we have at least some signs of wind damage. As we go through here, getting a good look here. Thanks to everybody for their headlights.
I actually feel better now that he's driving slow.
Yeah, no doubt.
I'm gonna make sure the window doesn't fog up. So. All right, so we're going to be past right in here where the LSR was located. A lot of leaf debris, a lot of here. It's really dark. I don't want to bright light these people, but you can kind of see over this direction that there's been a tree down right here on the road. I don't know if they're up for it, but we might get, you give me I was going to say if you give me a second, but I forgot the power's out there, so I wouldn't want to go knock on my uncle's door in darkness. You might think it'd be somebody else. I won't bother them, but I was going to say we could see if we could talk to them and ask about what happened here. So that's where this tree was down at. Looks like we got sheriff's deputies and stuff blocking these roads, so it's more damage down this way. I'm gonna turn around because I definitely will lose signal the further north I go here on 181. But that was definitely some trees out. All of my family's calling me right now, so I'm talking to you all. So
just tell them to tune in.
They'll have to watch the live stream, and I can give them an update that way. So we're gonna turn here at this side road and turn around and head back. There's one more area I want to check out for any damage. So I'll let you guys talk as I turn around, and then we'll rejoin you.
Oops.
Watching Scotty Powell there driving in Burke County, North Carolina, just north of Morganton, doing some storm damage assessment for us here. We have no active warnings anywhere in the Carolinas right now. And if Jared, if you could talk for a second, I'm going to try to turn some video.
Yep, sounds good. So just reset the stage here. We're with you right now. We started this evening talking about tornado warnings. Outside of Greenville, South Carolina, the storm continued to persist all the way up into the foothills of North Carolina. Scotty Powell had a pretty close call with some very strong winds, lost power at his house for time, and is now assessing damage for us. So right now I've got the kind of the wide view up. I'm going to take the spotter. Stuff off so you can see a little bit better what's going on. But we still have a few showers and thunderstorms. Again, no severe weather warnings out right now. Could still see some strong storms. Still could see some gusts, 40 to 40, maybe 50 miles an hour from these as they move through the area. Charlotte, you're kind of getting on the backside of it, just north of Columbia, moving into Camden right now. And then some of these showers stretch all the way down to Lake Moultrie, South Carolina, and Berkeley County. The main feature that we're keeping an eye on is what looks to be a little bit of we call it a mesolow. And the reason why we call it a mesolow, it's a very small, low pressure system. Typically can form out of thunderstorms and produce a swath of enhanced rains and damaging winds. And that certainly seems like that is something that we have had. I'm gonna go back in time a little bit. You can see where the tornado warning was, and it's going to take a second for these frames to load. But as we get these frames loaded, you'll see that little bit of a swirl there as all of this moves northeast into Virginia. So again, if we have any severe weather threat, it's likely going to be, it's going to be short-lived. I think that's the first thing to say is that, for the vast majority of us, I believe our severe weather threat is done. We're losing heating of the day. We're losing that instability. And the energy which is driving this is continuing to eject out of the area. So we've seen a downtrend in the last 30 to 60 minutes as we've been here. Again, the Weather Service has not reissued any warnings. They have a couple special weather statements out for Davie, Iredell, and Rowan counties, and Cabarrus and Rowan counties. You got a couple thunderstorms that are going to be on the strong side moving through, but nothing too crazy. Watch out for some heavy rain and some gusty winds, but nothing. And certainly nothing that reaches that severe criteria, 58 miles an hour, quarter-size hail, or tornadoes. No tornado warnings on the board. We haven't had a tornado warning on the board for quite some time. Again, that threat is diminishing pretty quickly. If there's going to be any shenanigans, it's probably going to be from North Wilkesboro down to Concord at this point. And this is going to continue to move.
I'll tell you, that line came through South Charlotte. I didn't even hear it.
Okay, so there you go. There's your ground truth right there.
Yeah, I have headphones on and I'm talking to you and Scotty, but the window's open 6 feet away.
Hey, Jay, if you want to report 2 more trees down on Perkins Avenue in the Oak Hill community.
I'm not the Weather Service. I'm going to guess at this point 2 trees probably doesn't qualify.
Okay, just
being that they've taken our other ones about other trees down, if they probably have gotten that message.
Okay, just was passing along what I saw.
I appreciate that. You guys let me know if you disagree.
I think we're in the general area there. We'll pass it along to all of you. Is that I think the most important thing to note is that that the storm did produce damage. It produced a fair bit of wind damage. It looks like in the Morganton, greater Morganton area. So we're certainly going to want to continue to keep an eye on that, and we'll see what Scotty finds. And I'm looking at the radar again. I think the current areas where we're going to just peek at real quick. I'm just going to kind of go down here, go down into South Carolina for a few minutes. Hartsville, McBee, Westville, Camden. You got some heavy rain moving your direction there. Nothing looking too serious from my vantage point here. everything is looking like it's behaving, and just watch out for some heavy rain.
I mean, at this point, the only reason I think we're still sitting here is to find out what Scotty finds. Not that I'm discouraging the radar analysis, Jared. I'm just affirming to everyone at home why we're not tracking a cell. There is no warning.
Yeah, and we're typically here for severe weather warnings. However, we have confirmed reports of damage. We had Frank Strait on earlier, who was surveying damage for us in South Carolina, near Greenville, in the town of Moore, I believe. So
thereabout.
Thereabout. So we've had damage in the upstate of South Carolina, and now we've had damage in the foothills of North Carolina. Scotty Powell's out there right now, driving around, looking to see what he can see. And keep in mind, it's dark.
Yeah,
it's 9:42 at night. You should be, and there's, it's slick and it's wet, and so we may not understand the full extent of everything until tomorrow morning. I think it's important to note that there's been no reports of any injuries, certainly no reports of any deaths. So very good news on that front. Some areas of wind damage and some power outages continuing as well.
Flood advisory. Do we have an Avery and Watauga? Ash and Watauga flood advisories.
Okay. Hey,
go ahead, Scotty.
James, this thought process here while I'm driving. Has anybody looked at the power outage map? See kind of a rough estimate of which areas are out of power?
Oh, I have not recently looked at it, so let me go ahead and do that for us. And I know how to pull up Duke Energy. I don't know if I know how to pull up City Energy. But Duke Energy right now for that area, yes, the number has certainly climbed since the last time we checked it, not surprisingly. So Burke County, where Scotty is, we're up to 1,000 customers without power. ETA is now 3 a.m. And Lenore is at another 1,000 customers with an ETA right now of 1:30 a.m. for restoration. And then those are kind of a couple neighboring counties have small pockets of outages. The only other county right now that stands out to me that's weather-related is obviously Greenville County in South Carolina, 235 customers there until about 3 a.m. It's interesting. I was looking to see if Oconee County that's the one that kicked us all off 6 hours ago. Maybe they had a chance to do some restorations. There's also some power outages in Florence County, South Carolina, but I don't think that's weather related.
Well, I mean, it could be some rain, it could be some wind. I mean, again, power outages happen. I've had no reports of any severe weather in the PD or anywhere in South Carolina for several hours now. So that is good. Back edge of the rain is moving through Boone and Mountain City now. Pretty sharp back edge, so you may have some gusty northwest winds coming on the backside of that meso low there. So Boone, stay on your guard there.
Yeah, let's go back to the Boone camera. That's what we were doing right before Scotty joined us, as we were looking at cameras.
Yeah.
Here's Boone. I was looking for Jefferson. Is that not what I was looking for? It feels like a year ago.
Oh.
There is a Jefferson camera. I just don't know if I have it in. Oh, here it is. Here it is. It's under West Jefferson. Here's West Jefferson. It's going to buffer out. Resortcams.com. Okay, I can't really see anything at this hour.
Yeah, I think at this point, we've had no lightning to illuminate any of this. I think that's the other thing too, is that these have been very shallow storms.
No, the last thing we had that was giving any illumination were the power flashes outside of Scotty's window.
That's pretty much it. And so these have been very shallow. You hesitate to even call them thunderstorms. In fact, I think one of the severe thunderstorm warnings actually said a rain shower. So you really hesitate from the meteorological side to call them thunderstorms. We haven't seen any cloud to ground lightning there. We have a new storm report.
From Rutherford County. I think they're catching up from earlier.
Yeah, probably catching up from earlier. Again, it as James noted earlier, these storm reports, weather service people are busy. They're busy and they're working in pandemic protocols. They can't fully staff those things. They can't have 7 or 8 or 9 forecasters all in the same room.
This line is so clear, though. I mean, just look at this line.
Yeah.
And then, again, there's no warnings right now, but you can see where those warnings were. Mm-hmm. Also, hats off to the Weather Service, because notice that every one of these storm reports so far is inside a polygon.
Yeah, good for that's.
Except for the first two. but from 4 o'clock on.
Sometimes you need that first storm to tell you what the storms are going to do for the rest of the day.
That's why we need those storm spotters, right?
That's exactly right. That's why we do it. That's why we, that's why we
Wait,
train.
I'm gonna go back a second. I just noticed something. Look at this cluster. I think this is where we're still getting new reports in from Rutherford County, but look at this little cluster right here.
And James, I think it's worth noting that I'm not seeing what you're seeing on my side here.
Oh, okay. I will send that back to you. That's right. You're looking at my camera, my pretty face. This is that. Go ahead, Scotty.
We've got a fire truck up here. Looks like some more trees down. I'm not sure what's going on here. We've got the road blocked, totally blocked.
Where are you, Scotty?
These are going to be some live power lines down. I don't know if you guys can see this. This would be on Lost Corner Drive. Numerous power lines down here. Has this whole section of trees out too. I'm trying to. This was a big wind field or something else. I'm going to turn around. See, well, this road will circle back around. I'm going to stay on this road for just a minute. See if I see anything else. See if that was just all area of damage. But that road, it's oh goodness, if you can look at a map, it's right beside of the Quaker Meadows Golf Course near the Burke County Fairgrounds. I think it's VFW Road, but I'm not totally sure. I believe it's VFW Road, but I'm not totally bought on that. But this just a lot of, well, here's another tree down in the road right here. I don't know if you guys can see this.
Yep, we see you.
There's another tree, tops of trees out here. These are tops of trees out of these. Again, there's no power, so it's really hard to see. You're just seeing the only light being casted by my headlights here. But this is Lost Corner Road, Lost Corner Drive. If one of you guys have Google Maps, you could probably look it up a little bit better than I could. But
yeah, Scotty, I'm gonna go. I'm kind of taking a look now.
If you Google Burke County Fairgrounds and then just kind of scroll out from that, you'll kind of see where I'm at.
While Scotty was talking, I was looking at Twitter
Again,
video.
There's a lot of leaf
Scotty.
litter here, but yeah, just saying there's a lot of leaf litter on the roads, but as I get away from that area I was at, there's no more trees down in this area, so I have to turn around and get back. This is a dead-end road, so.
Scotty, what was the other point of reference that you had? The golf course?
Quaker Meadows Golf Course. There's a lot. AJ Steakhouse, Food Line. It was a Kmart. I'm not sure. The Kmart has since closed, but it was an old Kmart building, and it's the road right beside of Vids.
All right.
I was starting to say I was looking at. There's video on Twitter now. What looks to be CVS surveillance camera from Oconee County of that car being flipped over. I don't even want to put it on the air because I haven't verified it yet. But if it is the real thing, I mean, that car is like in the road and just like tumbles as I'm going to call it a tornado passes through. It's just like one very concentrated area. This is like 4:50, 5 o'clock or so in Oconee County earlier. The first thing that knocked off this entire event. And if you want to see it, Cody Alcorn?
Yeah.
Codyalcorn, a journalist at WHNS television there in Greenville-Spark, South Carolina, has it. Wow. Scotty Powell right now live with us in Burke County, North Carolina, if you're just joining us. Not to confuse the two.
It's been a long day.
I am turning around doing a 3-point road turn, and there's no street lights, and my backup camera is not much help with no lights. So we're hoping we don't
be safe. Focus on that. I'm worried about you on this dark road and other cars.
Okay, we're good. We're turned around. So if this is where the crow flies, I can actually see the church beside my house to my left. So this was the area, again, that I've referenced to 3 or 4 times now, that I heard the roar, the crack of the trees, the power flash was in this general area right here. And you know, I'll get back out tomorrow morning and we'll get some good video and pictures of daylight of this damage. But this is just, you know, first glance at it as it's moved through the foothills here. Jared, was you able to pull up that road?
I could never find it.
Okay.
The 2 waypoints that you gave, I'm sure are great, but I have not been able to find those. So no luck on my end, but that also could be because I don't know. I'll keep looking.
No worries at all.
We're waiting for Scotty to come back out onto the main road there where there should be a fire truck.
Yes.
With some, what we think are live power lines down. I know we've just lost his picture. I'm just holding out here a second that he's going to come back. There he is.
Yeah, there's some sketchy service areas through here, so you may lose me intermittently, but we should come out here soon, and you'll. It's safe to do. I may kind of roll down the window and kind of give a clear view of these power lines that are down. I'll stay in my vehicle, of course, but kind of give you a better perspective.
Did you just say you're going to get out of your vehicle?
Again,
Please be very careful. Water and power
right.
don't go together well.
No. I said I'm going to stay. I'm gonna stay in my vehicle. I'm
Okay,
just gonna
good.
roll the window down.
All right, good.
That way you can kind of get a
Use those rubber tires.
You get a clear picture.
It's like I don't want to do a live science experiment.
No, I don't want to be the experiment either. So we'll be good with that. There's another tree down. Lots of debris in the road here.
It'll certainly be interesting to see how this one is scored.
Okay, so here you can see the fire truck. This looks to be the city fire. And if you look right here, you can kind of see where the trees and the power lines are down. Can you guys see that?
Yeah, pan it over just a little bit. We'll be able to see your road. Lost corner. Well, that doesn't bode well, now does it?
Hold on 1 second. I'm going to put it in reverse, and I'll tell you what the crossroad street is. Those are the green sign up here. Bost Road. B-O-S-T. So it's Bost Road and the intersection of Lost Corner.
Yeah, we see those power lines.
Sure. This is a city of Morganton truck. I'm sorry, I'm holding the phone vertical, but you got to do what you got to do. All right, so I don't want to bother these folks, so I'm going to go ahead and pull on out. What I'm going to try to do here, I'm going to park behind this fire truck for a second, and I'm going to try to step out here. Actually, I know these people who live at this home, so I'm going to step out here and try to get a better picture for y'all. I don't know if you guys can. I don't know if you can tell, but there's these top of the trees are missing here. I know it's really hard to tell, but a little bit better light here and see the top of those trees. So, needless to say, straight line winds definitely causing some issues here. I'll get over here on the sidewalk, get a better perspective here.
Scotty, is there a tree across the road too?
It looks like there is a tree on a power line down there that is laying across the road. Looks like, again, it's hard to tell. Looks like maybe 3 or 4 that are still laying on the power line, and then there's some lines up here that are dangling on the road. But it still looks like there's actually 3 or 4 trees on a line down there. Looks like Morganton Public Safety on that side, or maybe Burke County Sheriff's Department. Then we obviously have the City of Morganton Fire Department here on this side. Again, I'm at the corner of Lost Corner and Boss Road here in the Morganton area. The car coming up on that other side, but I don't think they're going to let him pass through. Yeah, they're going to turn around. So again, here's the fire truck.
I have not heard from the Weather Service about what they intend to storm survey damage tomorrow or not.
You can see this car. They're actually letting the car pass. I don't know why, but the car did get past the police car and is now coming up the road. But he did have to make a pretty evasive move, so there must still be a portion of that tree in the road. Now the car's kind of just stopped there, I guess, looking at the damage.
Maybe there's a driveway or something he's trying to get down. Who knows?
Oh, this is going very slow. And now there's another set of lines here. These, I don't know if they're power lines or cable lines or whatever, but obviously they are letting traffic through this area.
Maybe they're no longer live.
Now we're going to have a car. Well,
blinkers, people, blinkers.
This car is going to attempt to go down that way with the Jeep following it. So I guess they are letting you pass through there. All right, there's a lot of traffic here, so I'm going to get back in my vehicle.
Yes, that's Scotty Powell live for us outside of Morganton, North Carolina, Burke County. Severe weather aftermath here on the Carolina Weather Net. We have no warnings in the Carolinas right now. James Brierton with you here at 10 o'clock hour from Charlotte. Scotty is clearly on the ground there. We also got Jared Smith in Charleston, South Carolina. And let's see if we can get some other people's faces back up on the screen as much as we're enjoying these live pictures from Scotty. Kind of reset for you here. Scotty's driving around. He's our eyes on the ground. We've already relayed to the National Weather Service a few things that he's seeing. He was in the midst of doing severe weather coverage with Jared 90 minutes ago when I was downstairs taking a little break, and I heard Scotty on the air say power flashes out my window, and then we lost Scotty. He lost his power there at home. So his power has come back up. His home is fine. He's fine. Now he's out in his community putting some eyes on the ground so we can relay to the National Weather Service. That's what you're watching here live on the Carolina Weather Net. We no longer have any active warnings to tell you about. Yes, there are still thunderstorms out there. Yes, it's still raining in parts. There is no threat from severe weather with those at this hour. And I do think more or less that threat is done. Jared Smith, why don't you give us a little lay of the land?
Yeah, let me get my green screen turned off first. It's the problem with switching between OBS and this is that I keep my green screen on in Zoom, and it makes everything look really funny on the radar. So again, let's start with a broader view here a little bit. So we have going so kind of the main instigator of all of this is approaching the North Carolina Virginia state line, is headed toward this and is kind of running parallel to 77 here at this point. And this is going to eventually run into Withville and
there's Sparta. Jackie was asking about Sparta. There you are, Jackie.
Yeah.
You're gonna have heavy rain for the next 10 minutes.
Yeah, you're gonna have some rain there, but nothing too crazy. Let's talk about rain real quick.
She does have a flood advisory, Jackie.
There are flood advisories there, and if we look at the last 12 hours of rain, I think we sample this. We have some radar estimates of 1 to 2 inches in spots. So it's certainly warranted to have these flood advisories out for sure. So that's North Carolina. We're starting to see, for the last 20 minutes or so, I've been seeing an uptick in this activity.
No, thank you. Return to sender, please.
Yeah, no kidding. But generally, Camden, South Carolina, near McBee to Wadesboro, North Carolina, to Albemarle and Polkton there. Some downpours showing up, starting to see some downpours show up around Florence and Marion, and this is all going to sweep eastward as the evening progresses. Threat for severe weather is very low. At this point, let me...
Trey in Greensboro is asking the threat there. I mean, yeah, the biggest threat is some heavy rain, Trey. I'm not betting any money on severe weather in Greensboro at this hour.
Yeah. What I'm doing right now, y'all, is I'm taking a look at just the thunderstorm fuel, and looking at what kind of environment this is running into. It is marginally unstable. If anything, the best instability right now is in the PD down into parts of the Low Country. Right now, we can actually see the storm has whoa, it's been a day. We have a nice little storm that's blossomed up near McClellanville and Allendale here. This is moving into Schulerville, and this is going to approach Georgetown, heading up 17 over the next little bit. And again, we're going to have these kinds of showers and storms popping up as all this moves through. But again, heavy rain seems to be the main concern. We'll just take a quick look at the velocities. The velocities actually look relatively sane, which is certainly what we want to hear. Just looking at different sources of radar. We always tell you have multiple redundant sources of weather information. Well, we do the same thing here. I've got one radar over here, I've got another radar over here, and I got another radar over here. So we got you covered here as far as all this goes. So again, just getting a quick look here. Yeah.
Guys, just a little update. I am headed back towards my house. So we're going to probably see the power crews out at the bridge where we first started reporting about the damage. So we'll see. Excuse me. It's not washed enough of the pollen out of the air. We'll see where the progress is right now. But driving from that last location where the fire truck was to where I'm at right now, power's on, and no significant damage I'm seeing, just a lot of leaf litter and stuff in the roads. So but we're coming up to that intersection where we saw that accident earlier on in the broadcast. So again, if you live in this area and you are traveling out tonight, if you don't have to, don't. I'm only out here to help the Weather Service out, and help the Carolina Weather Group out, show you what's going on in the area. But if you don't have to be out, it's probably a good idea just stay in, because there are some areas that don't have power and no street lights, no working traffic lights. So it kind of makes it dangerous in some points. But hopefully, guys, no more severe weather this evening. We can kick back and relax for a few days.
Oh, it'd be nice. If only for that pollen.
That's right. Which I don't know. Maybe we'll take pollen over damage and thunderstorms.
Yeah, that's probably true. I can take a Claritin for that. Jackie, who's been with us so long tonight on YouTube, thank you, saying, I'm really interested in storm spotting. We just did a class here at the Carolina Weather Group in conjunction with the National Weather Service. It was a virtual storm spotter class. We haven't announced anything yet, but we are interested in doing another one of those with them. And you could do, of course, you could do that with us through the class that we'll schedule at some future time to do it again. You could also always check with your local National Weather Service office. They are doing storm spotter trainings throughout the year, and you can attend some of those either in your community, pandemic permitting, or virtually. So, whether you do the basic class through the one that we will be marketing or through one that is done elsewhere, it's the same course material. And guys, I was having flashbacks to it today, watching so many videos on Twitter going, wall cloud check, rotation check, on the ground, no, therefore not a tornado. There's those police cars again for Scotty.
This is where we had that accident. So we're going back down close to where I live. We'll see what the power folks are up to down here. Again, you can kind of see the road's dark again, so no power besides just the headlights that are in the passing vehicles.
More cars out than before, I think.
Yeah, and so I don't know if they've removed the power lines out of the road, but the power people are no longer down here. So I guess the wires and stuff are out of the road, I would assume. I would hope so. It looks like they have moved that out of the road at least. So that is good news, but we did have the power poles down. No, the wires are still here. They're still draped across the road. I don't know if you guys can see them. But I guess it's okay just to have wires draped across the road at night. That's kind of dumb, but excuse me for my commentary, but I don't think it's safe. People don't know they're there until they run over them. So, but again, there's so much going on in the county. I know all the resources are stretched thin. So, excuse me on that. I didn't mean to rant, but
I'm also confused on why the power lines are still across the road.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
No one asked me.
Kind of shocking.
What it is. Yeah.
Well, we hope not.
It's shocking in that there were crews there before and then left.
Yeah.
As opposed to they just didn't get to it yet. Okay. Somebody will explain it to us one day.
Yeah. I'm going to drive just a little bit past my house here, just see if we didn't go this way.
Don't tell us that. Just tell us you're driving. No one wants to know where your house is.
That's true. Well, you can't see anything because the power's out, so you wouldn't know which house is mine anyway. Yeah, I'm really still confused why there's power lines laying in the middle of the road. That's weird, but I don't know. Don't see anything back this way. That's good side.
So, Scotty, playing back in your mind, you were in a tornado warning. You were in the polygon, and then
I'm gonna pull off here at the store, and I'll answer your question.
Okay. Jared, while he's doing that, how are those cells across I-77 to the east looking?
Well, it's raining.
Okay, thanks.
It's going to rain.
You watching Family Guy?
Yeah,
Thank you.
I mean, that's
Here's a
it's
live
raining.
look in Sumter, everybody. It looks actually kind of nice in this camera.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, it's raining sideways. There's a couple showers popping up around Sumter right now, actually. So we'll keep an eye on that. But no, all in all, I think, the good news again is that most of this stuff should behave at this point. Got some elevated thunder, could have some, get some rumbles in there, but I believe that we are going to gradually get to a place where we are behaving a little bit, which would be awfully nice.
Scotty, you're now stopped. Here's my question for you. You were in a tornado-warned polygon at one point. You sought shelter. You came back. National Weather Service redrew the polygon. You were outside the polygon when you had the power flashes and the power outage, right?
Yes, yeah, we were outside. We took our shelter, was watching Radar Scope, listening to you guys, and I noticed, and Jared was on the wall, and I noticed that rotation that was moving up Highway 1864 was kind of hanging out in McDowell County, which is a good distance from where I live. So we came out of shelter because it looked like circulation was going to pass to the west. The tornado warning for Morganton proper, where I live, was canceled or expired, or I can't remember if they canceled it early, if it expired on time. And so I remember talking to Jared. I was like, "Hey, Jared, it looks like we got a meso low developing, and there's that Boeing segment it's heading into Morganton. I expect some gusty winds." And Jared agreed, and he was doing a radar analysis. So I decided to look out the window, and we've got those windows where you can kind of pop open and fairly easily. So I did that, and I started recording on my phone. So I'll post those to the Carolina Weather Group, and we'll send them into our internal thing as well. But I took 3 videos, and the first one, the power was on. The second one, the power was off. And then the third one, if you listen closely, you can hear the trees and everything start to crack. So was it safe that I did that? No. But I wasn't under a warning either. So, yeah.
However, your own words later were, maybe I should have stayed in my safe place a little longer.
I probably didn't do what I was. I shouldn't have done that. But I was technically not under a tornado warning, not even under a severe thunderstorm warning, if I'm mistaken, right, Jared? There was never a severe thunderstorm warning.
Not in your neck. Yeah, not in your neck of the woods. It was all that was good. That was further east of you.
Yeah, downstream.
Yeah. So there was no warning in effect, but in these embedded situations, we can get quick spin ups, or we could just get these damaging straight line wind events. We've said it numerous times, and we'll say it numerous times again. Wind is wind, no matter blowing straight or rotating, it can do damage. And obviously, we saw that damage tonight. I'll leave with this to answer your question, James. I went out obviously a couple of years ago. We documented that trip, our storm chase trip, and we saw tornadoes. But I heard the distinct roar that you hear people talk of, and I heard crashing trees, bending, cracking, and falling. And so, tornado or not, it doesn't matter to me. It created damage, and to be that close to it was scary.
Absolutely. I wasn't home last February when my house was within a couple miles of the Matthews, North Carolina tornado. But just in terms of that roar, I heard it on my security cameras. And again, I'm not saying it was the roar for me of a tornado that was 2 miles away, but it was just the wind and the force of the whole thing that the camera inside my house was, you could hear it rattling from outside. And yeah, it's wind is wind. It's powerful.
Yeah. Dangerous, and to amplify the danger, it happened at dark, at nighttime, dark,
bad radar coverage, as we're seeing in the comments, people reminding us that it's tricky up there.
Trust me, where we live, we're far away from the Greenville-Spartanburg radar that we start to get into those those issues. We're not close enough to Charlotte. The terminal can't really pick up what's going on here. So we are in a radar hole, and it seems like we mention it every time we do severe weather coverage. We're in a radar hole. It needs to be fixed. Promising news, and we won't get too much into it. Maybe we can do a show about this. But I did see the newest NOAA budget proposed, and a significant increase. And so hopefully if that is passed, maybe we can address these issues.
Or it's a significant increase because the 1980s technology for our current radar is getting more and more expensive to maintain, like an old car.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, everything has a lifespan, and we have way past the lifespan of these radars.
How do we get first in line for phase array? Is that possible? Coming up this week, Wednesday night on the Carolina Weather Group, a whole new show will premiere that looks back at the April 13th, 2020 tornado outbreak in the Carolinas, because it is that time of the year where year after year after year after year, we are getting into these severe weather outbreaks. So weather permitting, Wednesday night should be fine, right? We will have guests from, I think it's Justin Lane, National Weather Service GSP. And is it John Q, National Weather Service Columbia, Scotty?
We have John Q. we wasn't able to get Justin because when we recorded it, there was actually severe weather ongoing in the GSP areas.
Okay, so it's just John Q.
It's just John Q, but John Q sent some really spectacular video from aerial flights that he conducted during the storm survey. So we'll have some good B-roll footage of that.
So never before, or I don't know if it's never before seen, but video you're going to want to check out.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it, I don't think.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he showed it or not to anybody else, but we've got that, and we're definitely going to put it in with the interview, and you can kind of see the devastation that tornadoes can do. And Jared, we remember that night or morning very well where there was an EF4 tornado plowing through South Carolina. That's just unheard of.
Of course, I would pull a Scotty before this is over and be muted.
You caught it.
Yeah, I did catch it, but yeah, no, I mean, again, that was extraordinary in the bad way. The good news for us climatologically is that was extraordinarily rare. We had never had an EF4 tornado in the Charleston County warning area. That was first, and that was scary. That was a very scary morning for a lot of people in the I-95 corridor, and then getting into Monk's Corner, and then beyond. So, definitely, it's kind of crazy, and all of that compounded with the fact that we were just starting out with pandemic protocols. We were just starting out with everything there, and
we just talked to Ryan Vaughn like a week or two earlier, right? Ryan Vaughn in Arkansas, who was like the first broadcast meteorologist that any of us knew about that had to do tornado tracking from home because of the pandemic.
Yeah, and it was and giving the advice is like, okay, shelter from the tornado first, and then socially distance. It's like that was. Yeah.
Well, we did a show later that week with broadcast mets from throughout the Carolinas, and I think it was Brad Panovich who was like, you got to be aware of the pandemic, you got to be safe, but the tornado is like a freight train, and you got to get out of its way first. So, i.e., if you got to go into a storm shelter with other people, put on some masks and get in that storm shelter, which now in April of 2021 is still the rule, for the record.
Yeah, that hasn't changed. Let's all keep getting shots. Let's continue to do that, and it's going to make this a whole lot easier on everybody.
Scotty, did you lean in with a closing thought?
No, I was just listening.
No, there's like a soda inside that gas station there calling your name.
No, I'm not far from the house, but there's an ice cold Coca-Cola there waiting for me.
All right, Jared, radar is looking okay for us to sign off.
I think we're looking good. Just the thing that I'm going to advise people to do is just enjoy some sleeping rain if you're getting it, and nice. Maybe some gusty winds, but nothing looks like nothing too crazy. If it does get crazy, then we'll let you know.
Yeah, here's how this works, folks. And I was starting to say this 5 hours ago in my sign-off routine, and then we had to come back on. If you're watching right now, this is severe weather coverage from the Carolina Weather Group. We are a weekly weather show, as we mentioned, with new episodes every Wednesday here on YouTube, on Facebook. Check us out at audio podcast as well, too. You can listen to us wherever you get your podcasts. But we have a nonstop streaming channel. It's brand new. It's called Carolina Weather Net. You can find it on YouTube. It has this little sidebar with real-time weather conditions, cameras, radars, everything you want to know about what's happening, right? So we're going to continue to track that rain and those storms moving through the Carolinas. You're going to watch the best of the Carolina Weather Group, and then we'll cut back in when severe weather warrants like this. That's only on YouTube. The Carolina Weather Net is only on YouTube. So if you're watching right now on Facebook, on Periscope, or on Twitch, we love you. But if you want to go hang out with us in standby mode, find us over on the Carolina Weather Group YouTube page to check out the Carolina Weather Net.
I promise you'll find a show that you enjoy in the wide variety selection that we have.
350 some odd shows is what we're up to.
There's something there for everyone, I guarantee you.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen. For Jared Smith in Charleston, for Scotty Powell in Morganton, For Frank Strait, who's probably back now at home, but he was for us in upstate South Carolina earlier. I'm James Brierton in Charlotte. Can I come to Charleston?
Come on down.
Come on, man.
We will see you again when the weather warrants next Wednesday for an all-new Carolina Weather Group, or anytime on the Carolina Weather Net, available on YouTube. Thank you for watching us, for staying with us. Scotty Powell, glad you're safe. We'll see you back here again real soon. Good night, everybody.